I just saw that. Hello.
Welcome to the... It's going so well. Welcome to Epilogue Essentials, Episode 6, the Season 1 finale. Hello. We are joined by some wonderful people from the Epilogue Gaming stream team. And we'll give a little run through. I've generally tried to put people in order of presentation, but I'm top left because I'm important or something.
You're special.
I am special.
Yes, pass on.
But if you guys want to, introduce yourself, and you can do whatever you want. Okay, so we got Tinker Jings, aka Rena. She's never been on this channel before. Make sure you say hi.
Nope.
No.
Nice to meet you, everyone. Hi.
What's a tinker jing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, what's a tinker jinx? Don't know.
Not sure. The left side looks very German. And we
Excuse you. I'm quarter Irish. Okay?
Yeah. This, I mean, if you have the stream muted, this could just be an Irish side. To be fair. True.
It's a gradient. It's a gradient from Irish to German.
We have Val.
Hi, that's me. You probably also don't know me from here anywhere, surely.
No.
I'm never here.
No. Thank you for joining for the first time ever. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We have Eddie, Timonim. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome. And we have, I think, somebody who hasn't been on this channel before. Two back to back, actually, not been on this channel before. Hello, Azurkale.
Yeah, no. Hello, friends. Hello, chat. I know you, chat.
Hello, and hello, Ash. Hello, welcome.
Hi.
Hello. We also have the disembodied voice of Roy. He's lurking in the shadows. Don't worry about him. Whoa, spooky. But Roy will be doing some timekeeping, looking at chat for questions, just being like awesome. He's like so integral to this show and keeping it running. So just I want you guys to know that Roy is a very important person in running this. Okay. But we will get started with our first presenter, which we do a little draft in the background. Rena has courageously decided to go first.
Yep.
So you can take it away at your own pace, friendo, okay?
I
Spot.
shall do this. Let you set up.
I think chat can see that.
So the first part of my presentation is going to be a video, and then the second is going to be me saying more about the game. So I'll just let it rip and let you enjoy this presentation and hope that the audio levels are not too scuffed. I'd like you to imagine this. Imagine you're on an expedition up in the far north. And you miss two of your expedition mates, and now you and your bestie are all alone in a maze of ice and snow. You're lost. Don't know what's happening. And then you find this house, this villa. You go in, you think maybe you can find someone to help. Maybe you can call someone. And the first thing that happens is you enter this place. You get knocked the fuck out. And now you and your friend have to find a way to get out of there before this guy kills you. Welcome to We Were Here. Hello?
Oh! What the fuck?
Did you find the walkie-talkie?
Oh my god! Okay, I'm dead.
Yeah, you will have to describe in very vivid detail what you see.
I mean, one of them's a penis, but we'll go left to right.
Yes, So I'm bringing We Were Here, which is part of a very extensive series, actually, but it's the first part. So what is We Were Here? We Were Here is a co-op escape room sort of game where, like the video said, you're trapped in a villa and you each have your own point of view and you need to get through puzzles. Each of you have a different perspective. And by communicating via walkie-talkies, which is very wacky, by the way, and it's perfect, you have to navigate yourself through this place and hopefully make it out together. Why am I bringing this to the Epilogue Essentials? I mean, as you know me, and as I did last time, I'm a very co-op orientated streamer. I really like cooperative games, and I do think that Epilogue Essentials should have a cooperative game in their lineup, which it does not have so far, except for Journey, but that kind of counts, kind of doesn't. But yeah, I brought We Were Here. Why did I bring the first part? Because it's free. It's where you start. It's where the whole story begins. And as you process through the games, it gets more intense. There's more stuff. But the most important thing is We Were Here is where everything begins. It's completely free to pick up. You can get it on Steam. And I mean, what more do you really need? And another point that I want to sell for this game is it's super replayable. Not only because you have 2 point of views where you can switch up your own perspective of the game and how to communicate your part of the puzzles, but also because sometimes the puzzles are just tricky enough that even after your first playthrough, you will not be able to just like completely go through them with ease because they're just the right amount of challenging where you actually have to work together with your teammate to get out of this place. And you will die, you will mess up, but that's all part of the journey. And I think that's exactly what makes We Were Here such a nice and valuable game to play. Where I think that if you got someone that you want to play a game with and you want to pick up something that is quick, light, easy, that still gives you a bit amount of challenge that makes you laugh along in the process, where you have to also put some gray cells into function, We Were Here is the perfect game. And that's why I brought it today. And if you've got any questions, feel free to fire them my way.
All right, let's give it up for Rena.
Copies in chat, please. I feel like I have an element of bias here because I was part of that presentation as well. So I don't know if I should really be taking part in asking questions. But if anybody's got any questions in chat, make sure to ask them. Roy can pick them up. And if anybody on the panel wants to ask, you can go ahead.
I have one. I mean, altogether, like, excellent presentation. I had to like try to summon a question. But you said that they're really replayable. And that, because of how difficult puzzles are and how much you have to like rely on your partner. This I don't think really is a like problem with the game, regardless of like how you answer, but just kind of for completeness. My main concern with like citing it as like replayable and it being a co-op experience is like an asymmetric experience, right? Where one person has played before and the other person hasn't played before. Is it a kind of game where the person who has played could backseat the other person? Ultimately?
You cannot. Because there are different patterns in the game. No experience is the same. You will never get the same solution to your puzzle 2 times in a row. And also, I played this game and I watched a video about it before I played it with Yogi. And
Okay.
we still messed up a lot. I could not backseat him in any way. The way the game is set up, it's impossible to backseat the other person. Sure, you can speed up your process on your part, but I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to spoiler it.
Sure,
But
yeah.
it is essentially impossible to speedrun your
Sure.
part of the game without having the other cooperate and having to communicate together.
Sure.
I
And
think I've seen
also-
puzzle games. Oh, I just want to say, I think I've seen puzzle games similar where they just like randomize symbols and just some order of things get changed up.
Yeah, exactly. And also, the game does have a lot of achievements where you have to essentially play both parts. And even then, two playthroughs still have not gotten me all the achievements for this game. So if you're an achievement hunter, there's a lot of replayability in that as well, where you'd probably have to play the game like 3 or 4 times at least to get all achievements. And that's just the first game of the series, right?
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
And it's free. Like you can pick this up
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
Steam store right now. You don't have to pay anything, and there's just so much value in this game. Any more questions?
Do you think, like, as an experience, you mentioned the series, and we did play through the series together. Do you think We Were Here, the first one, as an experience is complete enough where you aren't relying on the rest to say like, oh, this is an essential because, oh, look, it's an extensive series, but is We Were Here on its own standing on its own merits?
Yep, definitely. Because if I had not known that there were more games to the series, you can literally just play it as it is. And in itself, it is wrapped up in a way where you don't need the other games to have a complete story in a way. Because in its primary function, We Were Here, it has a story, but in its primary function, it is an escape room game. So your ultimate goal is to get out of the game alive together. That's the ultimate goal that you have.
Yep. Fair enough.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Is it like online co-op, or like do you have to know who you're partnering with going into the game, or can you just find somebody to play with?
They have open lobbies too. You can find someone to play with as well.
Cool.
If you're feeling extroverted and you want to log in and just get matched with someone random, that is completely doable.
I guess that kind of answers the chat question. It's just how important do you think it is to play a game with a friend compared to playing with a rando? I mean, I guess it's kind of similar to every game. Like it's always. Go ahead.
Yeah. No worries. I think it's really up to personal preference. I know that some other people in EG have played this as well. And I don't think I've ever really encountered anyone doing an open lobby where they just get matched with a random person, but it is definitely an option. And I would not imagine that there would be a lot of trolls trying to ruin your experience. And like Ash previously touched on with the question, or was it, I'm not sure if it was Eddie or Ash, about if you can speed run the game as an experienced player. That's not possible. So like, even if you get matched with a troll, the chances that you will have a bad experience are very limited by just how the game mechanics are set up.
Fair. Any other questions? Anybody else want to ask anything, or do you think we've?
Well, I guess kind of a follow-on to that question. Would you recommend playing with a friend though, if you can, over like a rando?
You're asking this to an introverted person.
That's fair. That's fair.
I literally
Sorry.
asked Simi to sync up with me so I could play Journey with her instead of a random person. So
Valid.
That's valid, yeah.
in my personal opinion, I would prefer to play with a friend just because of who I am and how I am as a person, but I don't think it will take away from the value or like the choice of playing with a random person or a friend. Like that's really just personal preference if you're more on the extroverted or introverted side.
Cool. Cool. Well, I think that's us. Thank you very much, Rena.
I'm gonna stop sharing.
You can stop sharing.
Oh. Okay.
I see nothing broke. We're running smooth today, I think.
Go.
Let's go.
Hey,
But give it
This
up
is
for
the future.
learning.
give it up for Rena. Thanks so much. Yippee. But yeah, we'll move on to our second presentation, which is Val. So if you want to share anything, I can make sure it's on the screen, and you can take it away when you're ready.
I have a voiceover made, so see if this works. I hope.
Oh, wow, spoilers.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Oh no. I didn't see this one coming.
Everything good?
I think we're
I'm
looking
sending.
good.
Yep. Today, I'm presenting Terraria. Terraria is a 2D sandbox survival craft game that at this point I would imagine most of you at least heard of. The game puts you into the world with 3 basic tools and no forced direction. So from the start, you can just explore to your heart's content. Wanna just dig a giant hole? Sure thing. Build a house first? You got enough resources around you to do that. Or even just travel into one direction until you eventually run into trouble, which will happen depending on world gen. The general goal here is to obviously get better tools, weapons or armors, etc. to face the challenges you will encounter. This is where the game in my opinion excels at giving you options to explore either at your own pace or get some help without having to open an entire wiki. The first of many NPCs you can encounter in this game is called the Guide, and is present from the very start. He will give you helpful tips and suggestions for progression or places to go without just spoiling everything. The second feature, which is for me just as valuable, and which I as a veteran still use a lot, is the crafting help. The guide will have a window open, and if you put any item that says material on it in there, it will tell you all the crafting you can do with that item. It will also show you which other materials you will need and which crafting station you need. So he's a very good basis for you to explore the game and don't get lost at key points of progression. Though he won't solve all your problems for yourself or have an answer to every question you might get. But what do you even do in Terraria? The main goal is to defeat the final boss eventually, but you can really do about anything that you are interested in, which is why I love the game so much. If you just want to grind all the bosses and kill all the enemies, fight everything that crosses your path, you can very well do that and fill the in-game bestiary. But there's so much more. There's housing for NPCs, you can make your own base look super pretty, there's fishing, there's a gigantic tower defense system, there's even golf. Oh, you can go crazy and wire your entire world and put teleporters everywhere. So some of these features are locked behind unlocking certain NPCs that will then enable you to do these things. You can tackle the content with some of the standard classes you'd be familiar with from other games, like there's a ranger, there's a melee guy, there's a mage, there's even a summoner. And these things are determined by the armor and the set bonuses and accessories you wear, and obviously your weapons. These classes though are not set in stone, like from the character creation, you're free to swap, there's different loadouts, there's different archetypes as well. So for example, the ranger has a bow character, a gun character, later on a grenade launcher character, there's like a bunch of different melee weapons, summoner weapons, there's even sentries, so there's really something for everyone. Terraria is also known for its amazing, recognizable soundtrack, which you hear in the background. It ends up in a lot of playlists, or even just as background music for videos that aren't even about Terraria. All in all though, one of the main reasons why I love this game so much, and why it's an essential to me, is because there's just almost an unlimited amount of ways to play the game and enjoy it. You have 4 different difficulties, you have hardcore, softcore, medium core on your characters. You can play on your own, you can invite friends, there's even dedicated servers for multiplayer. There's also the active modding community, which adds a lot. There's like content updates, quality of life improvements, but these are just a side note for me, because the vanilla experience of Terraria already is so extraordinary to me that I would recommend doing vanilla first before you get into modded, at least for your first playthrough. I could probably keep on talking about this game forever, but no one has time for that. The game is almost 14 years old, it's still holding up so well, and it's still getting updates. 1.4.5 is coming this year, and if you haven't tried the game yet, that might be a good time to do so. It's also very affordable and offered me almost like 800 hours at this point of content and enjoyment in many different ways.
Thank you, Val.
That's that.
Give it up for Val.
Put up.
Thank you. Remember, if you have any questions, if you want to, maybe even get Val to explain something more, if you don't understand or want some clarification, ask away in chat. One thing I want to ask, because you mentioned the guide and how he, explains certain things, but doesn't just tell you explicitly how to play. This is kind of coming from playing Terraria myself, but there's so much stuff in the game. How much do you think you can get away with playing without, say, looking something up or checking a wiki? How much does the game sort of explain things in a way that it's easy to know, okay, this is what I'm going to do next? I hope that makes sense. Oh no, Discord dying? Oh no. Chat, can you still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Technical difficulties? Please hold.
I hear every word you say and very robotic.
We can hear you.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, this is horrendous. This is not great.
This has been happening
And he sounds the same rude. Let me do a little fuckery here.
Oh, something
Hello?
refreshed.
I changed
Oh.
I changed the region on Discord.
Oh.
I went
What
fishing.
the heck?
What got set on fire?
Yeah.
Incredible.
We're back,
Well,
baby.
I guess we're all back.
We're
Oh,
so
we're so
back there.
back.
We're all back.
Yeah.
Let's
I don't know
go.
if you were asking me a question, Yogi, but all I
I
was.
Yeah, I had no idea what was.
I sure was. I will ask it
I
again.
thought what, but
I didn't know. I don't know how you installed the Calamity mod into our Discord call, but
It's a feature.
So my question was basically along the lines of, you mentioned the guide, not like giving you some guidance, but not telling you exactly what to do. How clear is it like what you're supposed to do next from what the game tells you? This is just from my own experience of playing, but like, is there a temptation to go to like a wiki, or will the game guide you naturally?
It depends on your stage of progression from my experience. Like in the early game, he's very clear that, oh, here, build the furnace and like go get some ores and do this and go into that direction, explore the world. But later on, it gets more vague. I don't know if that is like they haven't updated the guide as much with like more content patches, or if they want to keep it vague for you to like explore the world more. There's also, if you get certain milestones in the game, there's gonna be pop-ups in the in-game chat that will call out events like saying, "Oh, this area got some upgrades," or like the dungeon is rampaging now. So it definitely has a way of telling you where to go next.
Right.
But if we have absolutely no clue where to start, people might be considering going for the wiki.
Mhm.
But the guide definitely tells you things, and the world also tells you stuff.
So that's actually kind of adjacent to my question. Because my question is also about like a wiki. I was writing it down during. Many people I know have described Terraria as a quote wiki game. But some people I know have specifically not really gotten into it because of that, because they don't like to go to a wiki to, understand a game. But they don't want to deal with like the cognitive load of like figuring out a game that has all of the things that Terraria has going on because it's been being developed, continuously for like, I mean, it's had like 12 final updates, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's full of stuff. What is your what is the handle that those kind of people can latch onto to play this game, or is it just one that they might need to pass on?
I think what I would suggest to those people who wanna experience and not trust just the guide, to maybe play with a friend who already played the game before, to then experience it together without them taking everything away of the first player experience, or trust that the guide is giving you enough guidance, the in-game character, that you will be able to get to the points of progression you want to. Because I've seen people play for the first time with the new and updated guide, and that helped a lot. I think they made him better over time. Like at the start, he was mainly just for the crafting, and it's definitely gotten better over time. So I don't know exactly what the past iterations of the guide were, but I remember at the very start he was only for the crafting menu.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say back when I played many years ago, I was kind of in this boat, and the guide was, like you said, kind of a glorified crafting manual, right? And
Yeah,
so I was
exactly.
playing with a friend, which worked, but it was very much a case of like, we would do a thing, and then they would be like, all right, we're doing this thing now, and I'm like, why? And it's like, well, it's the next thing that you do, right? And it's like,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he's way more specific now and
Very
points
cool.
you into directions.
I have a question too.
Yeah.
So as someone who's tried to play this game, both solo and with friends, one part that I found particularly overwhelming in itself is the UI.
Mhm.
And how far are there ways to help someone navigate it?
So can I get some clarification on what is overwhelming in the UI for you? Is it just like the menu of like where items go, how big the inventory is in the entire overlay, or where does the overwhelming
It's
force come from?
it's kind of everything put together. It's like the amount of items you have and like all the descriptions you get for them. But also just in general, like it feels like every button on my keyboard has a function in this game, and I got told what three of them do. And
Mhm.
I was left to explore everything, and while I like exploring everything, I don't like exploring everything all at once. So like it felt to me like I was just getting a lot of tools uh to play with, but little to no instruction what to do with them, both in terms of gameplay and the UI. For instance, like the armor section, there were like a
Yeah.
million slots where I just had no idea what they did, and there was no one to tell me like, well, you can't do anything with that yet. I just didn't know what to do with it. And
Yeah.
it kind of felt to me, Terraria felt to me like an MMORPG, like Final Fantasy or like World of Warcraft, where you just kind of like you go from quest to quest to quest in this open world, and you can explore and pick up new quests, and then you've got a million items, and you've got a million this and a million that, and you still don't really have an idea what the hell you're doing. So, like, what would you advise for people like me?
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean, and I've thought about this exact problem myself before, and the conclusion that I came to is that it has those RPG elements that you mentioned, and Terraria made a point of combining your inventory with your character panel, which is where a lot of the confusion comes from, I think. So if you try to treat like your armory and your accessory like your character panel, where you like put your gear, and your inventory like your bags, right? So these are usually separate in some of these games, so it's not as overwhelming. But I guess for the purpose of being able to equip different gear quicker, they just put it all in the same screen, right? When you open your inventory, you have your hotbar at the top and you have like your armory on the right, and you can just quick swap them. I don't know if there's like mods that solve this problem or you can like rebind it, but it's just something you have to like kind of detach from just being part of your main inventory and just see that it's like displayed on the same time, which I understand can be overwhelming for a new player because it's all in the same space and you don't know where what goes.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see. I had a chat question that just said wormch.
Yeah, that is just from me playing hardcore master mode. Then I had a channel point redemption that would spawn a worm sound and spook me because that is a very very recognizable sound that is scary.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I didn't see that question. What would be the main things that set it apart from other games like Minecraft? Like Minecraft is the big comparison point, another big open sandbox game that
Yes.
was actually brought to Essentials but didn't get in. What makes this better than Minecraft or like other sandboxy games?
So the thing that always like made me come back to Terraria was the more combat focused experience. You still have the sandbox, the creative part of like building stuff and like digging a giant hole through the world, but the combat is where it's at. You have like so many different enemies, bosses, gear for different synergies with your accessories. That really makes no playthrough the same. Like you find different items early on. You maybe like, oh, I found this cool magical weapon. I'm gonna be a caster this time. And it also has more different types of ores, like a better progression curve, in my opinion. Where you're like, oh, this is an upgrade. This is an upgrade. Whereas in Minecraft, for example, you have like stone, iron, and diamonds for the most part. And there's also a reward for difficulty scaling in Terraria. You have like different modes, and the higher difficulty, you get like new item unlocks, you get additional accessory slots to just tackle those challenges. That's also a main difference that was more interesting to me. And there's clearer progression points in Terraria, like these milestones when the world changes or you unlock a new area. I feel like those are not as prevalent in other games of the genre. At least not as much as I have experienced them in Terraria, where it's like you can have a set goal where you get to that at that day, and then you come back the next day and do something else.
I know one of the things I've seen with Minecraft, it just like, as the comparison is, you have to know a lot to actually get to those final bosses. Like you have to know to go to the Nether, go to fight the Drake, and all that stuff. Comparatively, how hard is it to figure out how to do the end game content for Terraria? Do you find is if a casual player that isn't using the wiki, does the guide get you to that point?
The guide definitely gets you to the first part. So that's like two end games, right? First release Terraria had one final boss, and then they put like part 2 into the game later on. To the first part, you get fairly quickly and fairly consistency. The only way that is a little bit vague is how to spawn the last boss. The guide like tells you a way, but I've seen people look that up, like how to like do the final thing to trigger that boss, and then the progression to the very very final boss. You will go through there by the natural stages of the game. So I feel like the second part is even more streamlined because you have the next bosses coming up, and each boss with the world events will tell you where to go next. Like the jungle is rampaging, then you go to the jungle, and then that unlocks a different area. And then from there, you will always be apparent what is happening, because those are like more event focused and it will happen in your world. So it's not as vague as, for example, finding the Ender Dragon in Minecraft. Because I always thought as well that is pretty counterintuitive with like the obsidian portals.
You mentioned about like hardcore playthroughs. So obviously there's a mode to cater to people wanting to make things a lot more difficult. Is there anything that would make it easier to, like, do they do anything to make it easier to approach from a casual? Because they've obviously thought about one end with the people wanting that extra challenge, but is there anything from the baseline that could change to make it easier for somebody to get into it if they were struggling a bit?
There's definitely, so softcore, you only drop money when you die, so that is already a huge thing, which is like the default. There's also, I was talking about the difficulties of the game, right? There's journey mode, which is basically once you unlock a certain item, you can like duplicate it. You get like research, and you like can dupe items. You have better starting equipment. So it's like if you really just want to experience the game for the first time without a lot of help, there's this entry level. Though the only caveat there is you can only play your journey characters in a journey world, just with the. It's like a little bit comparable to like a creative mode in a way. You still have to unlock stuff, but it's like all is more accessible. But then you're like locked to that world, so you can't like convert your journey character if you want to go play expert after that. You have to start fresh.
So there's like a low stakes sort of mode.
Yeah, exactly. Like everything does like way less damage. It's like way less tanky. You get better starting stuff. Yeah.
Fair enough. I think Dadby just mentioned there about a map size as well. Is it's a finite map?
Yeah. So there's always a map generation. There's always like certain themes to the map generation. So if you played the game before, you kind of know the biomes, but no world is the same as the one you played before, unless you play the same seed, obviously. But for a fresh start, I would always recommend small or medium, depending if you're playing alone or with friends, because a large world will slow down your progression immensely, especially at the start. So let's say you want to go to the one side of the world where the angler is spawning, it will take you a long while to get there as a new player. And you have to fight through like more evil biomes or like more difficult areas. And your mobility is limited at the start. So a large world really is just for multiplayers or people who really want to spend a lot of time in their world.
Fair enough. Anybody else? Nope. I think that's us. Thank you very much, Val. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening.
Nice. Clap.
Clappies.
Let's give it up. Yep. Clappies.
Clappies. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yep.
I am up next.
Yep.
I am hoping this is 5 minutes, chat. Oh, let me get ready. I do not have a I have a little video. I'll screen share it in Discord if you guys wanna if you wanna watch along. But it's just a little bit of a little bit of flavor. Just to let you see bits of the game. It's not really that important. It's a delicious flavor. Okay. So let's get going. I've brought a game that allows for freedom of expression and freedom of choice in gameplay. And I think that Prey 2017 from Arcane Studios, a sci-fi shooter RPG, is the last true big hit AAA immersive sim. It was one of the clearest memories I have of playing a game and feeling like, I need to get someone else to play this right now. It suffered from a bit of a botched marketing campaign. They were touting it as this bog-standard shooter, or linking it way too much to Prey from 2006, but it was so much more than that. And poetically, it's a game where things aren't what they seem at first glance. You should know that first impressions of things can be very misleading. Speaking of first impressions, Prey has one of the best intros I've ever played. The alarm sounds, you wake up, it's a beautiful day in 2032, and you get ready to leave by a helicopter. You fly through the San Francisco skyline, you're meeting some scientists, and you're going to do some tests, but things feel a little bit off as they proceed. Even the song you're listening to in the helicopter ride and right now in the presentation is called Everything Is Going to Be Okay. It's by Mick Gordon, and somehow that title isn't very reassuring. You shouldn't take this sense of comfort for granted. The intro itself has had so many video essays and articles written about it, which I think is a testament to the impact and importance it has in setting the scene for the journey you're about to go on. And I think you need to play Prey to see how masterfully they set things in motion. Multiple ways to solve problems is a philosophy and a core pillar of an immersive sim, and it's helped out in Prey by their RPG system. You can upgrade your very human abilities, your physicality, your science, your engineering. You also have some very non-human abilities like telepathy and energy manipulation. So, entering a room could be as simple as using a keycard that you found while exploring, moving something heavy to climb up to a vent, or hacking a computer to open a door. And even in combat, you can use your tools for stealth, there's so many, or just run in all guns blazing, shooting everything around you. There's no set way to tackle everything. And I did mention the sci-fi element of the game. It's a very sci-fi setting. I'm not going to give away how you go from San Francisco to space, because that's a bit of a secret. But the bulk of the game will take place on a research facility called Talos 1. It orbits the moon, and it initially seems like this massive, intimidating place to explore with loads of verticality, but the level design is the strength of Prey. It's big, but it's interconnected. It's sprawling, but it's smartly put together. As you get more unlocks and open more paths, this world starts to shrink down into a tightly packed and dense one with little wasted space that becomes a joy to explore. I want to end on two pretty big points that Prey does so well and better than a lot of games out there, and they link to that first impressions theme I talked about before. First is a tool called the glue gun. It shoots balls of glue, they stick to enemies, it freezes them in place, and it makes them easier to hit, and it's not really that special. But remember, first impressions aren't always what they seem. The balls of glue harden fast, you can stand on top of them even. So this basic tool could be used to create a makeshift staircase to climb vertically. It can put out fires, and it can stop electricity arcing from an exposed wire, all in aid of navigating the brilliant level design. It's fantastic for puzzling out these well-designed spaces and making you think about exploration differently. And finally, I'm going to talk about one of the enemies. They're called mimics. I'm sure you've encountered or heard of a mimic in a video game before, but never has the presence of an enemy made a space feel so spooky, uneasy, and like a haunted house before. They take the shape of an everyday object, a coffee cup, a chair, a trash can, and these will be different in each playthrough. It'll make you second guess and analyze every inanimate object in a room to make sure you don't get pounced on. They could even run away around a corner and all of a sudden you've lost them because they've mimicked another object. It's a sense of paranoia that'll make you see everything as a puzzle. Is there one chair too many? Who needs this many coffee cups on their desk? Exploring Prey is really exciting because the level design is great, you have a freedom on how you approach it, and there's tension created by these hidden threats. 5 minutes is never enough to talk about a game. There's so much more to Prey, but I hope I convince someone to give it a go. Thank you.
All right, that was pretty much exactly 5 minutes. So let's give it up.
I did not do that when I was practicing.
You did good.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I guess just to clarify for those who are not familiar, what exactly is an immersive sim?
Yep. So an immersive sim, I could throw some names out there as well of sort of big famous ones, but like Dishonored, Deus Ex, Thief, they're sort of games that are fitting into that genre, but they're freedom of expression in how you play the game and emergent gameplay systems. So they will design a space and give you so many tools to the point where you can solve problems in any number of ways. Like I mentioned with the door being locked, that's a really good example of how an immersive sim deals with its problems. Because one player's taken strength. They can't hack the door. They didn't find the key card. How do they get in? They move objects and climb into a vent. The next person took strength and can't move that box. They didn't take the strength. They took hacking instead, so they can open the door that way. But there's ways that the developers might not even consider, like the glue gun, where you don't move the object, you didn't take the strength, but you just build your own staircase and get out that way. So it's very much about player expression, from opening doors, taking on enemies, solving puzzles. There's just a lot of ways to deal with things, and it gives the player a lot of agency.
I have a question. Since you know me, games like these are not my type of game that I would play. So I want to ask something from a viewer point of view.
Mhm.
How enjoyable would this game be as kind of like a watcher slash backseater, where you're just like watching along, and when someone gets stuck, you like try to help them get through the game or something like that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of value of say like a chat saying, why don't you try this? You know, oh look, there's a box, or you know, there's a review that I watched years ago, and the reviewer got stuck in a room for an hour before he like figured it out. He obviously didn't have a chat shouting at him suggestions. He was just hitting his head against the wall. But you can all throw your head against the wall together, I think, as a chat and backseating, because even if you've seen the game before, the streamer you're watching might have a completely different setup and build and have to target the same problem a different way. And it's really cool for chat to join in puzzling that out, I think.
And in terms of jump scares, are there a lot? Is this like, would you consider this a spooky game?
It's
I mean,
the
with the
cl-
mimics, it kind of
Yeah.
like explains it, but
it's the closest, as I said, haunted house is like the big feel. It's the big one. So there, again, you could say, oh, I found my first gun. I can finally defend myself. And you go to pick it up, but it's a mimic. That sense of comfort isn't really there. So there can be a bit of jump scare-iness to it, just because of how the mimics work. Like, as I said, walking by a chair, like who needs 2 trash cans in this room? Like, it's not big enough. The second one is obviously hiding and waiting for you. So it's not necessarily what I would say like a horror game. We're not talking Resident Evil, but you'll get spooked by stuff turning into little black slithery creatures. So,
all right.
I hope that
I have a
answers.
bit- Yeah, that's fine. I have a bit of a mean follow-up question though.
Mm-hmm.
So you're advertising this game as like the best game there ever is, right? For that genre. So why did you not play it during your spoopy month? I think it's so good. Why did you prioritize other games over it instead of playing this first?
Again, because I would treat this more as an immersive sim. It was on like a short list, but it's not really. I wouldn't say to somebody, yo, this is a horror game, right? It's got elements, but as I said, you get
To be
stronger.
fair, Dratch is not a horror game either.
Yeah, you get. I mean, true. That's a fair criticism, but I think as you get stronger and you start to learn their tricks, you will still be cautious and try to check everything, but you'll be more well equipped for them. So you're kind of taking the power back a little bit. Like you're checking things instead of getting surprised by them. Does that make sense? So you're still paranoid a bit. You're still poking that trash can with a stick, but you hit really hard with the stick this time as you get stronger. So I don't think it's necessarily horror, which is why I didn't bring it to Spooky Month.
Well, if it does become an essential, I'm looking forward to you playing this next year. Or like this year during Spooky Month.
Fair enough.
As somebody who struggles in a first-person shooter type genre, how difficult is it, I guess to say, I don't want to get too deep into the game itself, but like how difficult would it be to actually pick up this game as somebody who does struggle with the first person shooter type games? Not because I don't like them.
Yeah.
I just don't find myself particularly good at getting the cursor where I want it to be sometimes.
Yeah. So that could be a sort of an avenue where you're going the stealth route, right? So I think the game does a very good job of giving you options for stealth. There are abilities, which I don't touch on because I think it's fun to find those abilities yourself and try them out. There are loads of like little gadgets and tools. So there's even like UI elements of, oh, has that enemy spotted me? You know, and it'll sort of alert you to, oh, they can see you. Maybe it's time to hide. So I think that could be a way around it where you're just trying to avoid combat. I will be upfront and say, this could be me cooked, you know. The last third of the game like has a lot more enemies in it. Like the final act of the game just have a few more. You can still stealth around those. Like that they're completely valid option. It just becomes harder. And a lot of people in the end game will just end up like taking a little bit more of the combat route because it just feels a bit easier to do that, but it's not required. But I would stress that there are more enemies in the last little bit.
I have also a
kinda-
question.
Oh,
Do you want to go first?
sure. So you kind of just touched a little bit on what I wanted to ask. So you said that there's multiple ways to solve like problems. So like the glue gun versus like strength and stuff.
Mhm.
Does any of those like, if you don't have like a certain way to do something, does it make it harder at the end? Like if I don't take strength.
No, I would say there are that they do a really good job of giving every build sort of tools. So again, you could be using the telepathy and using that really extensively to throw things or move things around, or you could use strength to move things around, or there'll be sort of turrets that you can pick up and place and hack those and use those to get them on side. So they generally give like, oh, I'm not going strength, I'm going engineering. I really like to tinker with things. They give you something to deal with your scenario. You know, if it's a turret or some security system, that you'll always have an option to deal with things. I don't think you'll be necessarily locked out of any particular part of the game if you prefer a build. I hope that answered.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
So, as someone who loves mimics and fighting mimics, like in Dark Souls, Terraria, wherever, how viable is it? Or like how common are they? Is it like a viable strat to just be like, oh, I'm entering the room, I'm just gonna like shoot at everything that I see to see if there's a mimic in the room, just like
Yeah.
to fight them, or is there like a reward for them as well? Or is it just like, haha, got him?
They're like the little guys of the game. If that makes sense. So they're not like, oh, this chest is a gotcha moment and there's like 3 of them in the game. They're quite common. Because they're just the little guy. Like they use the mimicry as like a, oh, please don't hurt me. You know, I'm just a little coffee cup. Please don't kill me. And then they use the element of surprise, right? So they're the little enemies. I'd say they're probably the best enemies in the game though, just by adding to the atmosphere and everything. But I mean, you don't have like infinite ammo, so going in and shooting literally everything or throwing your grenades in a room to just like, yo, is the coast clear? I mean, you could do that, but you might end up not having resources for a bigger guy that shows up down the road. But you know,
so
maybe you just beat that guy up with a wrench, and that's you. I don't know.
Yeah. So not compared to like Dark Souls, where like, oh, you click the mimic, oh, you guess you're dead.
Yeah, no, it's not. They're not like they won't insta kill you, right?
Yeah, they're just a little spooky.
Yeah.
So, a couple chat questions. Why this immersive sim compared to others? Like, what sets this above the rest, above like Dishonored, Bioshock, other immersive sims?
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of the unique aspects of the genre.
Yeah. So I did mention, I think this is the last immersive sim that we've got from a big studio. I think the genre as a whole is being propped up by the smaller studios, like the indie guys. Which there's like loads of cool games out there, but this is like the big budget. Like this is what you can do when you have the resources to make the level design insane and the production really high. A bit of a selfish reason I brought Prey is because I bounced off Dishonored and Deus Ex like so hard when I played them first. I didn't really get the genre. I didn't really enjoy them. I played Prey, it clicked, and I loved it. And that then let me go back to Dishonored and Deus Ex and enjoy them for what they were. Because I kind of knew that this is what the genre is going for. So that might be a bit of a selfish reason and not like in the spirit of Epilogue Essentials, but that's why I think Prey is my option. I think it's kind of learned from the genre and shows what it can be. I think that's what it's really good at showcasing.
Okay. I'm assuming this question is. I'm just going to ask it anyways. That'd be asked. The other two games have had replay value addressed. Would this game have much replay value, or is it more of a one and done kind of game?
There are different endings, and as I said, like the mimics and stuff, it's not like they're set places. I would say that playing through with different play styles and tackling things differently is a sense of replayability. I don't know if everybody's going to consider that on the same level of like, oh, I'm going to get different content, because you will be moving through the same spaces. It's just you'll be moving through the spaces in different ways. So I would consider it replayable because there's different ways to do it and there's other endings to get. But that's not everybody's definition of like entirely replayable, but I would say yes.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Any more questions from? Oh.
To answer the Deathloop question, I think Deathloop was critically well received, but the average player didn't really gel with it because I don't think it really hit the heights that Arcane can. Which is why I've been pretty specific in my last true hit AAA immersive sim little terminology. So I think Deathloop is a fine game, but also it's a little bit tangential, but the DLC for Prey is basically the blueprint for Deathloop. I didn't want to bring Prey Mooncrash because it's its own experience, but I think even Arcane did Deathloop before Deathloop with Prey. So I think that's why I've singled that out rather than saying Deathloop was the last hit, because they did it before. Hope I answered everybody's questions to your satisfaction. Is that everybody then?
Any more questions? I don't see any more. I think we're good here.
Thank you.
That's for Yogi.
I appreciate it.
So next we have Eddie. Clappies.
Yes, we do. All right, me. Okay, yeah. Me. Here. Let's see if I can do it correctly. I'm trying not to spoil it before the like the music again. So I just have some music, and then I will be talking over it.
I'm listening. You're good to go.
All right. Oh, and it is not letting me hit play. Okay, well, I guess I have to spoil it before the music. That's fine.
Huh.
So, Celeste is a precision platformer, an emotional journey, and, in my opinion, an all-around masterpiece. It has a beautiful yet cozy visual style that is incredibly consistent throughout, joined by an excellent soundtrack that is equal parts relentlessly catchy and emotionally evocative. Celeste's narrative and mechanics together do something that is, to my mind, one of the most difficult yet remarkable things a game can do. That's to say, the mechanics and the gameplay loop are reinforced and justified by the narrative, and the narrative is enhanced to be made all the more impactful and personal through them. It manages to create an incredibly fun gameplay loop that allows you to iterate on your understanding of the mechanics by making failure consequential but extremely forgiving. I played Celeste at one of the lowest points of my life. Its messages not only resonated with me, but highlighted aspects of my own emotions that I had been unwittingly neglecting, to my own detriment. But it did this in such a way that made them feel tactile, something that I could seize on and do something about. It didn't hide failure, but instead made it a clear part of learning and improving. Celeste does this by splitting across some 700 plus screens, and failure is relegated to simply starting back at the beginning of whichever screen you're currently on. This design makes the game feel like a series of incremental challenges that you can safely iterate on. I have over 4,500 deaths just clearing the main story. Despite that, I rarely ever felt like I was wasting my time or simply hitting my head against the wall. The main story is composed of 8 chapters, which is followed by one brutally difficult epilogue chapter, each of which also has a hard mode called the B-Sides. In just the 8 main story chapters, I had over 5,000 deaths by the time I was properly done. Its controls are simple and concise: jump, air dash, and climb. But each subsequent chapter introduces new environmental mechanics that keep the game feeling fresh while managing to continue emphasizing the specific emotional elements that the game is trying to explore. For example, in Chapter 5, the Mirror Temple, the primary mechanic that is introduced are climbable platforms that mirror your dash by moving along set trajectories when you dash. It's not only a very fun mechanic to get the hang of, but serves to continuously emphasize the themes being explored in that chapter about the ways that we see ourselves and how they can often be distortions of how we actually are. The emotional beats of Celeste have the ability to have a profound impact on someone who is willing to take its messages seriously. I would know because it had an extremely profound impact on me personally. And it's a game that I will readily recommend to everyone who's willing to engage with a platformer or at least even try it. Celeste is a game that is about self-discovery, reflection, and self-improvement. More than that, it's a game that seeks to challenge you to face those parts of yourself that you most often turn away from, the parts that you want to hide away from other people, that you want to kind of edit out if you can. It asks you and challenges you to face those parts of yourself, confront them, and incorporate them, and recognize what they mean to you, why they're there, and challenges you to become a more whole person in the process. And it does this through the way it beautifully weaves together its gameplay and narrative beats as they reinforce each other. Celeste is a beautiful and profound emotional journey that I would encourage everyone to go on if they have the chance. And while at times it feels brutally difficult, it is always worth the struggle and pushing through to try to reach the summit of whatever mountain it is that you might be climbing. Thank you.
All right, let's give it up. Claps. Clappies.
Clappies. Thank you very much, Eddie.
Let me see if I can get the picture back up just while we're doing questions. Yeah, there. Any questions?
I do have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
It's obvious this game means a lot to you, and it's kind of
Yeah.
like a soul child of yours. But there was one part where you did contradict yourself in your presentation a little bit, so I just wanted to
Sure, sure.
clarify on that. Because on one hand, you say that the game is very forgiving and not difficult, but then at a later point, you say that it's brutally difficult. So I suppose I have two questions at this point. One being, there's people out there who don't care about story. Curse on them, by the way. How dare they?
Sure.
But um, in terms of people who don't care about story, how do you think this game sets itself apart from other platformers like Ori and the Blind Forest or Hollow Knight or something, which is also beautiful and has a good OST in its own way? So, what do
Mhm.
you think sets this game apart in terms of its difficulty and game design from other platformers?
I would say that it is like the controls. So I guess two things. Just because you made the comparison to like Hollow Knight, for instance, which is more of a Metroidvania, right? So like you get your movement incrementally, so it's not exactly an apples to apples comparison, right? You start with all of your movement in Celeste. And like I said, it's a very simple toolkit. It's just jumping, dashing, and climbing. And so I think that the amount of expressiveness that they're able to give the player as you make your way through the game, despite only having ultimately like those three actions, is like really impressive. And generally I think is like everyone I know that loves platformers has nothing but good things to say about Celeste and how it handles. It is, in my experience, one of the most like well-tuned platformers I've ever had the pleasure of playing. And one last thing to speak to your point about me contradicting myself. I don't categorize forgiving as easy. In my mind, forgiving is just that if you make a mistake, you're not punished. It can ask you to do extremely difficult and challenging things while still being reasonable about the like time commitment that it's asking of you, you know, and the kind of I guess size of the each incremental challenge, right? So that if you do mess up and you do die, like how much stuff do you have to redo? And because it's split across so many different screens and you just start back at the beginning of each screen, I think it does an excellent job of making like mistakes not feel bad. Because you don't have to redo all that much. Like it for the most part, is very good about making sure that if you're making a mistake, it's because you actually haven't figured out the thing that caused the mistake, rather than like tediously, having you go through the motions over and over again.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a checkpoint every room, so if you die, you only lose like maybe 15 to 30 seconds at the most, but usually not even that much.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would
I've
be
played.
like the extreme end.
I've played both. I've played Ori and the Blind Forest and Celeste, and
Mhm.
so I'm like still trying to see what takes one game apart from the other. Like I enjoyed both. I didn't finish either because I have very bad patience. um, but I'm just like trying to see if I were to have to choose between those two, where I would like put myself at. That's
So
basically.
right. So I haven't played Ori and the Blind Forest, and so unfortunately I can't speak to it. I thought that Ori and the Blind Forest was also a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say in that case, don't pick between them. These are different experiences. But I think that like there's an extensive community around Celeste that is modding it and making new maps for it to this day, despite it releasing. How long ago did it release? 2018. So like 7 years ago. Like there are still new mods and new map packs being released for Celeste, which I think really speaks to how much this game has resonated with people. And in that case, it's literally just the mechanics, right? Because like at that point, there's no story that you're getting other than what the mod makers are putting in themselves, right?
I have a follow-up question kind of to the difficulty that is like, at least in my experience, people say that Celeste is still like very difficult. And you say it has like a great story and a great message that it's trying to convey. Would you still recommend the game to someone who really can't do well with platforming and like difficult maneuvers with like multiple inputs of like the dashes and the wall jumps to try Celeste, or would that sour the game for them and the message and the experience if they're really getting impatient with the game and not being able to complete it? Or would you still say try to push yourself? The game is worth it.
I would say so. For in my experience, I had started a good handful of precision platformers over the course of my life. By the time I made it to Celeste, and finished none of them for that reason. And Celeste became the first one that I finished, and then I went back and like there's collectibles that are they're the little strawberries that float around, that are just like a little bit off the main path. Just like little challenges you can take along the way, which I would never have done for like these other games because I didn't even finish them. And for Celeste, I went back and got every single one of them. And so like I think that certainly in my case, it felt very, very worthwhile and very satisfying to push through and to kind of rise to the challenge. And the other thing I'll say is that a lot of people also, when they're talking about the difficulty of Celeste, are talking about two things in specific when they're like setting the highest bar for the difficulty, which is Chapter 9, which is exceedingly difficult, and then the B-sides, which are basically just remixes of every chapter made to be harder, but neither are required. The chapter 9 is epilogue content, and the B-sides are like for people who want to play more Celeste, basically, but don't have like any narrative associated with them. So the bar to get through like the story is ultimately much, much lower than like the kind of highest bar of difficulty that Celeste offers.
Okay, I like that a lot. Yeah. So like the B-sides are like NG plus, where it's like, oh, this room is mirrored or something in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
There's new obstacles so that like when there were 10 viable paths before, there's like 2 now, right?
Yeah.
All right, gonna throw in a chat question.
Yeah.
From Dadbeat, friend got him to try Noita, and one thing that stood out for him was the idea of being able to destroy the terrain through weaponry or environmental objects. Does Celeste have any standout features from other games, or is it just standard elements that work more on making those stable and fun?
That's an interesting question. Also interesting that you compare it to Noita. I think that it's like that's an interesting question for platformers in particular, I think, because the platforming genre is one that has been around like since very nearly the beginning of gaming, right? Like it's a very, very old genre, and to that point, lots and lots of the possible mechanics that you can have just long since been done and refined, and you know, uh, ultimately, almost everything that comes after it tends to be iterations on those mechanics. So I don't know that I could say that it has anything that is like stand out, totally unique. No other platformer has this. Rather, I think that it is one of the most well composed platformers as a package that I know of. The visuals, the audio, how snappy it feels, how intuitive the controls feel, how just how all of that like melds together, I think is really, really impressive for a genre that is as old as platforming. And to make it feel like something that, for someone like me who had never finished a precision platformer because I always hit like this wall of frustration, made it feel like tractable to actually get to the end of.
Yeah, I don't know if this is so much a question, but for Celeste, I really find you mentioned about the message about like accepting parts of yourself, and I know that that's like a massive part of Celeste and its story, and even behind like the creator of the game and everything.
Yeah.
It resonates with so many people. I just want to sort of get your take on the other thing it does really well of knowing that you can do this, right? You can absolutely do this. It seems impossible. It seems like I've never played a platformer before. This seems too hard. This is like so precise, but like what's your take on the game being able to like almost force you through and tell you, you know what, you got this. You can do this. Because I think that's the standout for me in Celeste of what it does really well.
That's an excellent point. It like that is the other. You're absolutely right. The other main kind of pillar of like its storytelling and the emotional beats that it covers is that it's a relentlessly inspiring game. It is extremely good at making the main character someone that is extremely like relatable in the sense that like she has anxieties and insecurities and is not sure of herself and frequently doubts that she can do it, and regularly is like, this was a mistake, I should turn back, climbing this mountain is dumb, I can't do it. And regularly the game very convincingly kind of says, no, you can do it. Breathe, you've got this. And I think that's actually a great point to bring up, Yogi, because I think that is almost certainly the only reason why I was able to finish it and actually realize how much I really, really enjoy precision platformers because of that iterative, kind of overcoming, process of seeing the mistakes I'm making, adjusting, and that kind of rapid iteration process. It just does that with such a streamlined package, all the while, being incredibly, encouraging.
That's nice. Let's go.
Oh, dog troubles.
What a dog doing?
Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, I know Spock said it's not really a question, but the accessibility options in Celeste can be it's a very important part of gaming, so
yeah,
Celeste is good at
absolutely.
it, right? No, I don't think I have anything else. I know the game too well. I don't know if I can ask anything else.
I mean, you can always give a lowball question that you want answered a certain way.
I mean,
if you really want the game to win.
I feel like I just did that.
Yeah, I was gonna say actually, I think that's what you said.
But no, if we have nothing else, we can give clappies and move on. Thank you very much, Eddie.
Clappy, clappy.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And my stream.
And next
next we have Azure. Mr. Kale.
Mr. Kale's my father.
Kale Jr.
All right.
Oh, named it secret file and everything. Oh my.
Secret file. It's a secret.
Well, whenever you're ready.
All right. I'll be back next week then. I'll be ready next week.
Okay, maybe whenever you're ready in the next 30 seconds. Okay, just kidding.
All right. Final Fantasy, Sea of Stars, Earthbound, Super Mario RPG, Golden Sun, and even Pokemon. These are just a few of the RPGs that have inspired generations of gamers and ignited lifelong passions for the genre. But what makes an RPG essential? Is it multiple endings, iconic characters, epic soundtrack, New Game Plus? Many of these features we now consider staples of the genre all started right here with the game I've brought today. So without further ado, I'm here to show you why the timeless classic Chrono Trigger isn't just an Epilogue Essential, it's the Epilogue Essential. I've played a lot of games, and every single one is held up to the measuring stick that is Chrono Trigger. Square called the development team the Dream Team for a reason. Even Toriyama played a hand in the design of this game. Imagine a game that blends the time travel, unforgettable characters, and one of the greatest soundtracks in gaming history. A game that's just as fun and engaging today as it was over 30 years ago when it released. Let's break it down. A timeless story, most RPGs let you save the world. Chrono Trigger lets you save an entire timeline. One moment you're sleeping in, late for the fair, and next you're in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and then suddenly you're in prehistory throwing hands with dinosaurs. And the best part, your choices actually affect how the history unfolds. Few games nail time travel, this one perfects it. Choices that actually matter. Some RPGs give you choices that don't change much, not Chrono Trigger. There are 13 different endings, each shaped by how you play. You want to challenge the final boss immediately? You can. You want to see how different decisions affect the timeline? The game lets you. This game came out in 1995 and still does choices better than most modern games. A combat system that feels ahead of its time, no random battles, no button mashing, no grinding. Chrono Trigger lets you use either active or wait battle styles, allowing you to set the game to your own pace. There are also team-ups. Characters combine their abilities for dual and triple attacks. that make every fight feel strategic and rewarding. It's simple and it never gets old. Soundtrack that can change your life. Have you ever heard a song in a game that just sticks with you forever? This game has an entire soundtrack like that. Mitsuda and Uematsu crafted some of the most unforgettable music in gaming history. Frog's theme is a legendary chorus, and The Corridors of Time is a beautiful soundtrack. This soundtrack alone is worth the experience. When you finish with the game, there's still never-ending content out there. Once you finish the game playing Chrono Trigger, if you want more content, and I won't cross into any second games here, there's a fantastic randomizer for the game. Characters can be randomized, bosses can be randomized, text, heck, even the damage types of techniques can be randomized now. Jets of Time is a wonderful randomizer. The bottom line here is that Chrono Trigger isn't just a game to me, it's an experience. It's a masterclass in storytelling and combat. The game design still holds up decades later, and if you've never played it, you're missing out on one of gaming's greatest achievements. This is where my script kind of ends, and I go into the game itself for me. I remember playing this game as a kid. Like, I don't have a whole lot of memories as a kid. I'm just not a memory kind of person. But I remember the first time I sat down and played this with my childhood best friend, and it changed our lives. Like, we started really gaming with this game. I still go back to it all the time. I just finished recompleting it, 100%ing it on Steam. I play the randomizer almost every weekend. There's just endless time put into this game for me, and I can't think of playing any other game. I've put my favorite soundtracks from the game as underlying to the video. I could talk about Chrono Trigger for hours, and just thinking about putting it all into 5 minutes without telling you all about the game was hard for me. So I will leave it here for now, but I look forward to your questions. So to the panel, Twitch chat, don't let this masterpiece slip through time. If you play Chrono Trigger, you will not regret it.
All right, let's give it up. Clappies.
We got a clip on Epilogue Essentials.
Oh. Yeah. I'll put the video here for backdrop.
Thank you.
Oh, my heart.
Good. Well done. I know you were nervous.
Yeah.
You did good.
Any questions? Everybody's in a stunned silence.
I actually don't have.
Well, this is like, I guess you could say this is a local. How long is the game? Like, how, if I wanted to go in and get out everything, that was worth getting out of it, excluding randomizer, because I know that's like an infinite well, right?
Yeah.
But like, how long would that take? Like, say I wanted every ending, or
so, yeah, 100%ing the game. Every ending can take up to 40 hours, according if you look it up on how long to beat. But to actually finish the game, to just finish it, it could be, it says 20, 25, 26 hours. And the nice thing about the completing of the game, the longest playthrough of the game is the first one. Like I mentioned, New Game Plus was named and defined in Chrono Trigger. Stop it. Dog barked at me. He can tell I'm excited, so he gets excited. So once you start to work on completioning, you're actually playing with your characters, all your levels, all your gear. So going back to get all the endings, it's actually just a stomp through time. You are having fun. You're just going through the game and finishing at different points and seeing what changes in the endings. And so the last handful of hours to actually complete it, I find are actually really enjoyable.
Right.
I also have a question. Oh, are
Yeah.
you, or do you still need something, Eddie?
No, that's
Okay. So you mentioned that there's like no grinding or no farming in this game, right?
Mhm.
How does it solve the progression of like comets? Because like from like games like Golden Sun or other games or like JRPGs, right? There's like usually grind sections, or like you can grind to get stronger if you like struggle with an enemy.
Mhm.
Is that like, how is that solved in that game? If you like, is there like a potential for you to get stuck somewhere and you have no way to catch up, or?
So there is no point in the game where you can't go back to spots to respawn encounters. One of the things I love about this game is that every encounter you can basically see on the overworld map. There are a few that if you walk past a certain threshold, it triggers them. But the bosses themselves, there's always little tricks to them. But at the end of the day, if you do find yourself struggling, you can always go back and grind if that's what you want to do to overcome it. But it's also fun just to puzzle out what the boss is looking for, which team you need to bring. There is always ways around it. With my recent replay through, I basically skipped every encounter I could because I know all the skips from doing the randomizer, and I still didn't struggle at minimum level.
Oh, okay, that's good then. Thank you.
Yeah.
So there's like would there be like tactical elements then that overcome just like sheer stats and gear and whatever?
Yeah, there are bosses that certain ideas that you can bring in, certain techs you can learn. Basically, I don't say trivialize them, but make them overcomeable without all that grinding.
Okay.
Because I do not. That's one thing I do not enjoy in an RPG is just resetting a fight over and over and over again just to get a couple of levels, and that's just not something I enjoy.
Mm-hmm. I think
I
Dadbeat
have
has
a
a
question.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry. um, in terms of like strategy and stuff, right? So is this a turn-based game or is this like a live action fight?
so you have two options when you start the game, and you can change it later. There's active style and wait style. Active style battle, your ATB, your attack bar fills up, and when your attack bar is full, that character can take its turn. That's based on your speed stat in the game. If you have it set to active style, the enemies will go when their attack bar is full, whether you're in a menu or not. But if you have it set to wait, if you're in a menu in the fight, you can actually take a moment and think about the fight, how it's going, and look at your text, use it, and then they won't actually go while you're in a menu. So it kind of gives you that time to slow down and take a beat without being stressed that the enemy's still attacking you. Whoa.
I think we
Oh,
have a
Bandit.
question from the audience.
It's okay.
Yes, Bandit. Yes, at the back. You have a question? One thing I do want to ask, because it's sort of related to a question that I got asked in like the opposite way, because you said it sort of set the groundwork for a lot of things. Now,
Yep.
with Prey, I think it's great because it's like this culmination of what has been learned through the genre, and it's like it takes all these good bits and puts them together. Do you think that like nothing has surpassed Chrono Trigger in terms of what its aim is, like over the 30 years or whatever? I don't know how old, I think it was 95, right? Like, has anything, taken it and done it better, or do you think like this is it, nobody's surpassed it?
I think games have since learned from Chrono Trigger and done their best to. Oh my gosh, dog. Sorry. Games have done their best to learn from this game. It is a 30-year-old game in its defense, but I think to this day it still has the cleanest mechanics in this genre. Gosh, sorry, he is absolutely going crazy. I think there are games that have done things similar to this game, but I think at the end of the day, to me, going back to the roots, going back to where it all began, and just seeing the masterpiece that is this game, not only gives you an appreciation for what it's done, but what other games have learned from it.
Fair enough.
I do find it funny the first game you show is Final Fantasy VI, which came out before Chrono Trigger.
I wanted to pick I just kind of picked ones that looked pretty for their intro on their trailers, and I thought I thought it was fun. That was the remake, to be fair. The Final Fantasy VI clip I grabbed, the pixel remaster remake. But yeah, it is. I just liked the graphic that it started with.
So, chat question.
I like the implication that FF6 has more to learn from Chrono Trigger than FF6, like in the remaster.
Chat question, yes.
Kind of hard to scroll chat sometimes. In a lot of RPG games, you normally tend to lean towards certain units that are just better than others. Does Chrono Trigger have a good balance between party members, or do you find some just outclass others?
So, little me, when I first played it, I had my favorite. I basically always had Chrono. He's the protagonist. He's the coolest. He's got that spiky red hair. But I have since gained an appreciation because of the randomizer for how strong every possible combination you can bring to the party is. You can bring all three of the slowest characters. You can bring all three of the magic characters. You can bring all the physical characters. Each combination is unique, different. They have their own techniques with each other, and I like every single party combination now. There's not a single one that I don't think can perform well anymore. So if you like the looks of three characters, use those three characters. If you like the techniques of those three characters, use those three characters. You for the most part, once you have the ability to have all the characters, there isn't a whole lot that you'll get punished for if you use the characters you like.
I guess I could throw out the spot question. Is it even possible to listen to the Millennium Fair music without going, ha, along with the music?
No. I will hum a lot when I'm playing this game, and I just can't help it. On days where I'm not my best, I will put on the soundtrack to Chrono Trigger, and it will just bring me up. Between the memories and just how much I enjoy the music, it will always bring a good mood out of me.
So it sounds like this is not a game you should play at night when you're trying to be quiet.
Depends on how much self-control you have.
I think that's.
Thank you, Imagine.
Any more questions, or are we done here?
How much am I going to be thinking about Dragon Ball when I play this?
So it depends on which version you play. I'll take the question seriously, honestly. So Akira Toriyama helped with the design of the characters. The sprite art doesn't look like Dragon Ball. If you play any of the newer versions, like the basically PlayStation onwards, they include the animations that you saw near the start there. Those you'll think about Dragon Ball, but for the most part, Toriyama just helped with the designing of the characters and then helped with the drawing of the anime. Best version to play? I see the chat question. Personally, I still find the Super Nintendo version the best. I think it loads the best. I have a bit of nostalgia to the graphics to it. But the most accessible version is probably Steam. There are some changes to it that the Chrono Trigger fan bases don't like as much. It just looks a little different, and I think that's just nostalgia speaking. But the Super Nintendo version, I definitely prefer.
Yep, that's great. I think that's all the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
More clappies for Azure. Thank you.
Millennial Fair.
Clappy clappies.
Clappies. Thank you. And then last but not least, we have Ash with our 6th game of the day.
Oh boy.
Oh
The
boy.
finale.
Where is it?
It's Celeste, Chrono Trigger, Prey, Terraria. We were here. What are we ended with?
I've noticed we're turning into a great soundtrack edition with some of these games here. I didn't know
Yep.
that we were doing a theme.
It's
I would
true.
have prepared better.
The lineup
This
is
kinda
stacked
stacked.
too. This is
Yeah.
gonna be so hard to
true.
decide.
True.
All right. Let's just say that I am kicking myself for not going before Eddie.
Oh.
All right, here goes. How did a tiny indie game studio who funded their game on Kickstarter put out such a polished game that it has become a gold standard for Metroidvanias? Well, today I'm going to tell you why Hollow Knight is everything you've been missing and why it is essential. Hollow Knight is a 2017 Metroidvania Souls-like. At its core, it is about exploration and backtracking to older areas once new abilities have been discovered. The game starts with no fanfare. You're dropped in from above into the world you will be exploring, giving only a nail to defend yourself from creatures that can be a lot bigger than you. As you work your way through the tutorial area, you can pick up some lore and start to get a feel for the world. It's dark, mysterious, and dangerous. As you move into the first area of the game, you encounter NPCs who will begin to fill you in on what's happened to their world and why it is the way it is. The colors, the art style, and the music only add to this mysterious experience and make it one of the best in gaming. Each area of the world you progress through is unique and tells you more of the story, from the color choices to the music to a lot of the enemies. Everything feels like it's a different ecosystem, which seems apt, since given that it's a story about bugs and other creatures. Having played Hollow Knight for years, it is the standard I hold all of my games to in terms of movement. That being that tight, responsive movement and character controlling. From all the movement abilities you acquire in the game, the ability to integrate them into how you navigate and traverse the world is really well designed and feels clean and smooth rather than clunky. The weapon you start with is the one you will have at the end, but you can make yourself stronger with exploration. The game does a great job rewarding the exploring player with a stronger weapon and more health, but at the same time, there are no forced collectibles. Grubs, as cute as they are, and they deserve to be saved, serve a purpose as currency to obtain items as you collect more. Relics, another item category, only help you to obtain geo faster. None of them are required to beat the game. The other thing you will encounter is charms. The charm system in Hollow Knight is similar to the badge system in Paper Mario. Nothing is cosmetic, as some are in Paper Mario, and charms have a more direct impact, as some introduce game-breaking logic or exploits to get you to areas not otherwise accessible until later. Charms serve to change the experience from player to player. I'm a player that likes to get up in enemies' faces and swing my weapon. There are charms that allow me to do that more successfully. There are charms that play to the use of soul and spellcasting. Neither is an incorrect way to play the game. The boss fights in this game are both frustrating and rewarding. It's a Souls-like. It feels like by nature you will die a lot. But the triumph of beating those enemies and the bosses that you struggled with overshadows the frustration. The first time heading to an area, you may have to go the long way. But there are shortcuts to be opened and discovered, and it serves as a reminder that you made it so far already. The music and sound mechanics in this game are utterly amazing. I could talk for days on different themes, and there have been a variety of deep dives if that's what you're into. One of the early boss themes heavily revolves around strings. There's an elegance to the music that matches the moveset of the fight. This is later in contrast to a harpsichord theme of a fight where it feels a bit more chaotic and dangerous. The music of the game is a big part of some of my playlists, but even if you don't end up playing this game, listen to the soundtrack. The atmospheric music, or lack thereof, serves to help drive the player and the story forward. City of Tears is built below a lake. You can hear the rain falling. Deep Nest has no atmospheric music. Deep Nest is a late-game area where it's dark and the enemies are more difficult, and having the music creates a sense of panic and dread. The entirety of the game is hand-drawn and creates this cartoon-like dark atmosphere you want to keep discovering. Information about the world is done by exploring and reading lore tablets or talking to NPCs. The characters are unique and quirky, the world's rich in secrets. The first time you find something hidden behind a wall, you get the sense that the game is hiding plenty of secrets, you just need to go out and find them. This game is available on Steam, Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. The game is $15 when it's not on sale. It offers something for the casual player, as well as someone who wants to find every hidden item and all the lore that they can handle. How Long to Beat has the main story listed at 27 hours and completionist at 64. It took me a lot longer, and I still find value in the game years later. With all this amazing content, for how cheap it is, this is why Hollow Knight is my Epilogue Essential.
Clappies.
Clappies, let's give it up.
Clappies. Awesome. Thank you very much, Ash.
Clappies!
Clappies.
Also, notice my presentation is named Llama Essential.
I did see that. I was like, no way.
Oh, it's already.
Any questions from the panel?
I have many questions.
Oh no.
Yeah, so it's no mystery to anyone who has been to my stream when a Metroidvania or anything Metroidvania has been under discussion that I am extremely critical of Hollow Knight. Because of the experience that I had with it on my first playthrough. That being said, I do play the randomizer. And of course, the dwarf will show up right now. Anyways. My first question I would say is, would you say that Hollow Knight is a good first Metroidvania?
It was my first Metroidvania, and I absolutely loved it, so I'm gonna say yes to that. There are other ones that you could probably start with, but this was my first one, so I'm gonna stick to my yes, this is a good first Metroidvania.
Sure, okay. The reason I ask is because many of my complaints about how discovery works in the game tend to be met with, well, this is standard in the genre. And you just didn't get it because, you haven't played other Metroidvanias. Given it was also your first Metroidvania, and you did say that you felt like discovery was always rewarded, how did you feel about how things were hidden and what you were given for finding these, kind of tucked away places?
Okay, so one of the biggest things for me is the ability to find like your weapon upgrades. So one of the fights I showed, like the Mantis fight, I struggled with that a lot. I left that area because I wasn't stuck there. I got weapon upgrades and went back and was able to then like take on that challenge. So like just leaving the area and exploring a bit more to find like the pale ore, to find the mask upgrades and like the soul vessel fragments, like was definitely like rewarded. And
Sure.
It like, yeah, some of them are hidden, but it not being locked into that area definitely helped because I felt like I had the ability to go back when I was ready for it.
Sure. So kind of more on discovery. You said that in your video that like it felt like it was always rewarded. One of my biggest complaints in my playthrough was that so much of the time it felt like I found something I would discover some like secret hidden wall, or I would, notice, a wall that could be broken, and all that I would get for my trouble would be, one of the items that you sell for Geo, and that felt like extremely underwhelming to me, and it made me kind of start resenting the hidden, kind of squirreled away things because it felt like I was, you know, like for me, I was looking for narrative. I was looking for lore. I was trying to, piece the puzzle together. And in so many of these locations, I would just find, oh, it's just more geo. And I had, an excess of thousands and thousands and thousands of geo by the time I ended my playthrough. So I guess, how does the exploration or discovery always feel rewarding in when so much of it is, I guess, basically just money, which you can also, you end up accruing a lot of just through the combat of the game.
So there were many points in my first playthrough that I died trying to get back to my shade. So I lost a bunch of my money. So money is something that I never took for granted because there is a point, I 100%ed the game. At the end of the game, that you're trying to save up upwards of like 15,000 geo. So finding relics that I could sell, like that I missed the first time, was absolutely amazing, and it just meant that I could spend like an hour less farming because that's what I was doing at that point.
Sure. So that's actually a good kind of segue into one of my other questions. If anyone else has any other questions, by the way, like feel free to cut me off. So I guess that actually kind of branches into two of my questions. I'll do the first one that I have written down. So you said you described it as a Metroidvania Souls-like, and the devs have, or rather, I have levied critiques about it being described as a Souls-like because it feels like it has some of the trappings of a Souls-like without the quality of life that a Souls-like gives you, to like overcome the challenges that Souls-likes are presenting. And I've often been told that the devs claim that they never intended to make it a Souls-like, but that I think, like I was saying, kind of lends to the idea that it has these Souls-like elements, but actually lacks a lot of the quality of life that you would associate with, a Souls-like. So, what was your experience like, I guess, with the Souls-like mechanic? And because for me, it felt very tedious.
So the Souls-like mechanic was how it handled death and like dying, and your like the bench system feels like the bonfires. Your shade being left where you died and having your geo feels like when you die in Dark Souls, you have to go back and get your souls.
Yeah.
Like that's what that part of the like the Souls like feels to me, like how it handles like your death and dying.
Sure. I guess that's kind of what I guess what I'm getting at. One of the other things that people often refer to, and even you in your video related it to, was your experience with bosses, right? Is that like, there's lots of going back and fighting the same boss over and over because you'll die and then you need to get your shade, right? Like kind of coaxing you into this like death loop, right? For me, that was a big point of frustration because it felt like in a Souls like I could always, grind souls and then level up and get stronger, right? And have this kind of like this like escape hatch, right? To deal with a boss that I was having trouble with. But in Hollow Knight, once you've upgraded your nail all the way, which scales the boss health for many of them, there's kind of nothing else that you can do, especially if a boss is like blocking your progression, right?
Yeah, so I was actually talking about this last night. So I had mentioned something like Celeste, when I was talking about like hardness difficulty. So like
Yeah.
one of the fights like that leads to the end game in Hollow Knight is a very big stopping point for a lot of players. Like
Yeah.
that's hard. You're gonna I rode that elevator and started that fight. I can't tell you how many times. But it still felt like I was making progress in like learning the moveset. Whereas something like Celeste has a great mechanic of you being able to like go back to the beginning of the room. But if I wasn't getting like how I was supposed to move, I was getting extremely frustrated that I didn't feel like I was actually learning anything like towards progression. At least when you're fighting
Right.
like Soul Master, I making it to like him like making it further in the fight felt like I was still like progressing in the game.
Sure. One of the bosses
I
in
guess I
particular.
feel like progressing in a fight feels better to me than like progressing in like a platformer.
Sure. I think one of the bosses that most notably aggravated me in this way, because I didn't feel like I could make that kind of progress because of how the boss is set up, was uh, Broken Vessel, I think is the name, if I'm not misremembering. But like one of its movements, basically is like it has the exact same telegraph for two completely different movements that you need to do two different things for. And so it felt like, even though I was like, getting better, there wasn't actually anything for me to be picking up on additionally, right? It felt like, well, I've learned the moveset. I just can't predict based on what I see what it's going to do. I just kind of have to get lucky and pick the right response. And eventually that's what ended up happening is that I picked I picked the right response enough times and, DPS'd that I was able to finish the fight. But it didn't feel satisfying, right? It's just like, oh, well, I got lucky this time. I didn't actually, like, there was no knowledge that, like, pushed me over that, boundary, that threshold.
Is it the one with all the orange stuff on it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down in the basin.
That's I guess that is a required fight for reasons.
Mhm.
I feel like you always have a moment, like even if he does telegraph multiple moves, you still have a second to like be able to like use your invulnerability or use your dash to like get away from it.
Sure. Like, I mean, there is always, responses. And now that I've put many more hours because of the randomizer in, it gives me less trouble. But it definitely was a very frustrating fight because it didn't feel like it was set up to, like, it didn't feel set up to, like, learn the move set in order to make it easier. It felt like it was more just, mechanically move better.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the later game fights too, so like it's going to be harder than some of the earlier fights.
Sure. I think that I'll one last question, and I'll stop my barrage at that point. So one of the things I often say whenever someone asks me like why I ended up being very disappointed in Hollow Knight, because that was like my main emotion when I had the credits roll. After getting like the quote unquote like true ending, right?
Yep.
Is that I completed 106% of the game, and could not confidently tell you what the fuck the story was about when the credits were rolling.
That's fair.
Despite that being like my main motivation in playing the game was like trying to figure out what was going on.
So the story's done through lore tablets and like talking to the NPCs. So if like I did not do that a lot in my first playthrough. So I kind of had that same response. Like I didn't know why. I knew what happened, but
Sure.
I had kind of just accepted like, hey, this is like this orange goop, and hey, there's like moths, and oh look, I have to fight this boss now. I'm trying to not like spoil things.
Yeah, sure. Right.
It does. It can leave you a little bit unsatisfied, but Marina's gonna call me a monster. I didn't appreciate stories of games for what they were until later in gaming. So
Sure.
this didn't bother me as much, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. It was for me it was definitely a like, you know, the thing that drew me through the game was like, you know, trying to figure out what was going on and trying to make sense of like all of these little bits of story. And I did read like basically every lore tablet I found, and talked with every NPC I found, et cetera. And I think that for me it felt like um, there were lots of pieces for a story laying around, and they kind of forgot to finish telling it. Which definitely kind of, I guess, soured the experience for me. But for purely like mechanically, I mean, I'm gonna go stream after this, and one of the games I'm playing is Hollow Knight Rando. So like, I can't say anything against like the replayability on the mechanic side. I have my complaints there, but like my actions speak for themselves, right? So thank you. That's the end of my assault. Thank you for bearing with me.
I think that's one of the things with Dark Souls as well, because I know like Roy has mentioned in chat there about the storytelling in Dark Souls, and I know if they didn't like intend it to be, but it's a pretty big storytelling sort of mechanic where you'll leave these bits and pieces that are very cryptic, and you just might not get the whole story, or it's left to be open-ended or something like that. So I know some people will bounce off the maybe not getting the complete story, but I don't think Hollow Knight's the only the only sort of perpetrator in that sort of realm of not explicitly outright saying things. You don't always have to explicitly outright say something, I guess.
I have a question.
Okay.
I mean, I will. So as we've just heard, there's, I think, very contradicting opinions on this game, and I feel like in a way that speaks for the character of a game. It's kind of like an experience, either you love it or you hate it, and then there's like this weird in between where a randomizer makes you hate love the game. But
You're not wrong.
Just for like a player who's not very good at live action fighting or Metroidvanias, and who's always like, I've always been intrigued by just the general design and the soundtrack and the whole setup of Hollow Knight. How forgiving do you think the game is? Like, how tailorable, I guess, is the difficulty level of this game? Like, question one, is there like a way to toggle to like an easy mode? And then question two, can I just explore everything into oblivion until I have all the upgrades and feel like I'm not dying a terrible death of frustration and anger and madness of not being able to get past a boss?
So toggleable, no. If you load up your game right now and I loaded up a game I would like more difficult, we'd be playing the same game. There's no like normal mode, easy mode. As far as exploring, you definitely can explore to your heart's content, but there are like upgrades and like there are definite walls of progression. Like one of the dash abilities is locked behind a boss fight. Like so you're gonna have a hard time venturing out of like the first couple areas until you get that upgrade.
How often do the enemies respawn? Do they respawn every time I enter or leave an area, or just when I die?
So the enemies respawn when you hit your bench. Your bench is your saving point. So if I kill an enemy right outside of the bench room, I can go back and also kill that enemy again right after I sit and save to get more geo.
Okay.
But the thing, like Eddie was talking about, how Dark Souls feels like you can just like grind like souls to upgrade. The upgrades aren't like that. The upgrades are stuff that you have to find. So like your weapon upgrades are tied to like finding like the metal. So the like you can get the nail upgrades. Your health is in like split into pieces. So it's stuff that you have to find throughout like all of the 13, 14 different areas. But like some of those areas are not accessible until you actually like get past the boss fight.
Okay, thank you.
What would you say is a bigger selling point for the game? Do you think the exploration or the combat would be like the thing you could point to and say like this is like the pinnacle of the game and what it does well?
I think both. So for me, like after I played this game, I've tried a bunch of other games and going completely not in either thing you just said. For me, it's like the movement. There are games that I tried that felt awful in terms of movement. So I go back to Hollow Knight and I'm like, okay, my love, I'm back. I'm here for your dash mechanic.
Yeah, honestly agree. Like, I know I give an either or there, but I think I agree. Option C is probably the selling point. But I mean, the movement helps you explore, I think.
Yeah, and the movement helps you explore, and the movement helps you to fight. So, like, there are enemies that it's a lot easier. Like, so it's a Metroidvania. You're gonna have to backtrack through the same areas, face like some of the same enemies, like going back to find something. Like the first time through an area, I might have to hit it a bunch of times, but the second time going through an area, I can jump right over it because I have a jump and I have like the double jump. So that's like one thing I said and I mentioned was like the ability to like integrate like the movement and stuff. It just feels so good. Like some of the fights that like you could do without like your double jump just feels so like much better with the double jump that like you worked really hard to get. And the charms, like your exploration to find like one of my favorite charms in the game lets me like swing my nail faster than I would. So like for somebody that likes DPS, like finding that charm changed how I fought the rest of the game.
Damage.
Yes, and the nail pogos. Nail pogoing feels so smooth.
Straight out of DuckTales.
This is tough because again, even Eddie said, you know, it did 106%, and I've gone through the whole game and everything. But how satisfied do you think someone would be just going through and getting like the bog standard ending, like the default without going further? Do you think that's a complete enough experience on its own?
I mean, it is a satisfying ending. I mean, so the first time I played it, that's what I did. I went in, I beat the end game, and then I went, okay, I feel satisfied, but I'm not satisfied enough. And that's just like me. I wanted to go back and explore more and like get more upgrades, like hit every corner possible that I could, like every breakable wall, every floor, like I wanted it all. I wanted to fight all of the bosses.
Fair. Thank you. Any more questions? Anybody else in chat have a question? Or
I mean, there was one question in chat, which is the obvious one. When's Silk Song?
No, I
2025.
Very dev. I do not know this information.
2025 chat.
Yep, 2025.
Chat. Get your Silk Songs in chat. 2025 Silk Song. Silk Song.
I feel like that's a point in Hollow Knight's favor, in that this idea of a sequel to Hollow Knight is so ingrained in everyone that it pops up no matter what kind of presentation is going on. The big ask is, where's Silk Song?
True.
I will wear my cloud makeup till the day I die. That game is coming out.
I mean, the Nintendo Direct said it.
No, it
Coming
did.
out this year.
No one's messing with John Nintendo when it comes to other releases.
I mean,
surely.
Yeah.
The Microsoft presentation said it was coming out last year. Not to.
Yeah, well, Microsoft lies to you. Microsoft lies to you all the time.
Yeah.
You don't understand. Nintendo is a Japanese company. If they say they're gonna do something, it's gonna come.
Nintendo's our friend, of course.
Ah, yes, faithful remakes. Oh wait,
we're gonna make Scarlet and Violet run better.
Oh, I guess Dwarf has one. Would you say that one of the biggest selling points is how non-linear it is over some Metroidvanias? I mean, I guess you have to have played a lot of Metroidvanias to see how non-linear it is, but how would you say about the linearity of Hollow Knight?
So I haven't played a lot of Metroidvanias, but how non-linear it is. I'm trying to figure out what you're asking exactly.
I think he's referring to like the you're not required to go to like how many different new areas could you explore at any given time, right? Like there's lots of forks in the road.
Yeah. And so like I said in the thing, how long to beat has this game with the main story is 24 hours. There are speedruns that can do this in like 32, 33 minutes. And for people that have played this game, they know that there's like certain fights that are a lot more difficult to do, and areas that are that you have to get to that normally you would need other things to get that you don't get in that run. I think the ability to branch off and do some of these things that like out of order, that's kind of why I love the randomizer.
Yeah, I think other Metroidvanias I've played, it's a case of you're at point A, you need to do something to get to point B. But in Hollow Knight, it's like, well, you've got the thing, but now you can do points 1, 2, or 3 because you've got this one thing, rather than you need to just head directly to the next bit. I feel like that's sort of the non-linear aspect that they're getting at. Is you can kind of, you've got options whenever you're given a tool.
Yeah, I mean the ability that you can like once you get your dash or like once you get your like vertical, you have the ability to go to all these different areas. I think that's fantastic because like my playthrough wasn't the same as how like Eddie experienced the game, how like Yogi. It's just like if you watch like the first playthroughs of 3 different people, you might see people go 3 different ways.
I agree. That's me with a Hollow Knight poster on my wall. Don't look at that too much. But yeah, I think that's all the questions we had. Well done, bracing for the barrage from Eddie. I know this is a divisive game in the community.
You're good. You're good.
But yeah, well done. Thank you so much. Can we get some clappies?
Puppies.
Clappies. And now it's the fun part, chat.
That's the hard part.
Well, this is the bad part.
It's all stacked, holy.
I've been sitting here looking at my list, flipping it 6 times.
Okay, so
Mhm.
I do need to ask something of chat. You may see a little meme of message deleted. The panelists are going to go through in the same order that we did our presentations, the same order we drafted, and they're going to explain to you what they have given first, second, and third to. No spoilers of what people are talking about. You know, if someone says that like, oh, I really, really enjoyed the presentation for Terraria, it's my first one, be like, oh wow, I can't believe Terraria is getting 3 points. Don't do that. Just because we're all not going to listen to each other, so we don't influence each other. It's just going to be completely, we have our own ratings and we give them, so we don't try to give something some points to, you know, artificially push it over the line. Then after we pick our game, I will make a poll and you guys can pick your game in chat. So remember to vote for the presentation you thought was the best. Yeah, exactly. So you may have played some of these games and they're your favorites, but try your best to make it about the presentation and the arguments put forward of why it's an essential. So just try to keep that in mind. I'm going to take my headset off, and the rest of the guys can mute in Discord, but I can't mute, so you guys can still hear it. Rena will go first, explain her rationale, give Roy the points, and then tell Vel that it's safe, and we'll keep going like that. So
Yeah, I would like you to DM me the points, even though I'm listening, just to have it on record.
all right, headset off. If everybody
Great.
else wants to mute, then Rena can have the floor.
Bye.
Goodbye, chat.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Let me pull open Roy's DMs. Oh my god. I have no idea what to do. Shit. Okay. I'm gonna type this out first so I don't change my mind on this. This is so fucking hard. Okay. This was, first of all, this was a very tough decision. The way I argued my point for what I'm gonna pick is how much, one, I wanna, like, the presentation made me wanna pick up the game and play it right now. And two, how much I'd like other people to watch play this game. Play it right now. So my first pick is gonna be Chrono Trigger because I have heard so much good about this game, and I have always wanted to pick it up, but just never really got around to it. There's like always other games, and I guess I just needed that nudge to fully go in on it. And like Azur's presentation really convinced me that Chrono Trigger is a great game that I should be playing. And I already wishlisted it on Steam. So Chrono Trigger is definitely going to be my number one. Also because I think as an RPG lover myself, the list of essentials is severely lacking in that category. And I feel like we need a Chrono Trigger, an RPG essential on there. My second choice is Hollow Knight, because again, it's been a game that I've been wanting to try, but that always scared me off with its difficulty and not really being my type of genre that I play. So I just feel like, especially with all the discussions that went on, and I've personally played Celeste. I did not enjoy Celeste, because I felt like the controls were not as polished, to me at least. When I was playing with a controller, it felt very like specific in what position you exactly had to push a button forward to get that correct angle to go up, and that just wasn't my thing. So I chose Hollow Knight over Celeste. And the third one, which might be a surprise to everyone, honestly, is Prey. Because I would never touch this game. Don't get me wrong. I would never fucking touch this game. But Yogi's presentation made me want to watch it. It made me want to get to know the game. It made me want to see other people play this game. I'm never gonna play it, so don't even try. But I really hope that Yogi does pick this up so I can watch him play it, or anyone else for that matter. Cause it does feel like a game that I would really enjoy watching. So those are my 3 picks. And I'm gonna type in chat that I'm gonna give it over to Vel. Bye, chat.
Hello. Okay. So my thought process was this is really hard actually, because there's so many good things on here. And I feel like every game deserves its place, but I can only pick 3. So my first pick for, I guess, 3 points is gonna be Prey with Yogi's presentation. I have not heard of the game before. Maybe it was like before my time or something, but just from the presentation alone, I was so intrigued, and it's gonna go on my list. So it's just like drawn me in, and he just like sold the game very well to me. Okay, slot number 2 for me goes to Celeste, because it was just like the way the storytelling got conveyed by Eddie just spoke to me, and I just really want to get into the platformer again. It's just I've put it off for a long while, and that's why I'm also like a little bit more intrigued than I probably should be. And then my last point actually goes to Azure with Chrono Trigger. I used to be like almost a JRPG hater or something, but his presentation of like how it made all the things so well, even being so old, and the music, it just speaks to me on another level. It was like a really close call with Hollow Knight, but I also think Hollow Knight is kind of almost like too controversial in that case. We like discussed a lot. So my 1 point in third place goes to Chrono Trigger. And that is also going on my list, and I need to type to Roy my order of things. But I'll do that after I'm deafened again.
Hello? Hello. How's it going? I hope everybody's doing well. This is tough. So I think typified by the game that I brought, I really like player expression and like choices and options in doing things. But I also really like seeing yourself get better at a game. So something like Celeste and Hollow Knight really appeal to that sort of sense. And, you know, Terraria really appeals to the player expression sort of sense. So I am having a tough time. Also, even Chrono Trigger with multiple options and ways to do things like that. I'm cooked, chat. I'm cooked. I can't vote for We Were Here. I was part of that. I was part of the presentation. That would seem. I think I should be banned from voting on that one. So I will say, oh frick! I have to give one of these. I have to give some of these no points. Like this is ass. This is so ass. In like the best way. You know what I mean? Like this is tough. Shit. Okay, I think fuck. I'm going to give Terraria my third place. That's going to be my 1 point. Terraria. My 2 points I think is Celeste. And funny enough, it's the game I know the least about off of this list. It's the only game I've not played on this list, but I'm giving my 3 points to Chrono Trigger for the presentation, for the way that it was explained and brought across by Azurkale. So I think 1 for Terraria, 2 for Celeste, and 3 for Chrono Trigger. Because it made me interested in the game and wanting to check it out and see what it's really done. So, that's me. I'm sorry, Hollow Knight, my beloved. I love you with all my heart, but you're a spicy being who does nothing but start wars. That's my call. I'll DM Roy now, and we can pass it to Eddie. Screen? Oh, screen. Ugh. You didn't see anything.
Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, chat? Am I coming through? Hello. Hi. Hi, everyone. Hi. Huh. So my votes. Hi. Hi, Vision for Way. Phoenix. Adam. Well, wait up, go and say hi. So okay. I'm a little bit torn. I'll start with you know what I'm not gonna be voting for. And to probably nobody's surprise, right? I'm not going to have a change of heart suddenly and give Hollow Knight one of my votes. I think Ash did a good job, albeit none of the discussion was anything that I haven't had like much longer, much more in depth kind of conversations over, right? And so and I wasn't like really kind of convinced by a lot of the answers to my questions, but I haven't been convinced by like most of the people that I have asked like that same battery of questions. So, you know, that's not too much of a surprise. The one that I'm giving my fourth position, but that I really want to be able to vote for four. Like, is Terraria, and I think it's because like I have this bias, right, where like I want to, because Terraria in my mind is a class, right? It's been around for years, and it's one of those that has received countless content updates, and it occupies this very quintessential, place in like sandbox gaming, right? And they'll have an excellent presentation. I just think that the other three presentations were similarly really excellent. I mean, all of the presentations are excellent. But yeah, I'm trying to like counteract the bias of like, oh, it's a classic in my mind, automatic. That's one, right? So the ones that I picked in ascending order, continuing in ascending order, giving my third place to Chrono Trigger. And I kept flip flopping between Chrono Trigger and Prey, which is getting my second place. The memes. So the reason that I'm orienting them in that way, because ultimately I feel very similarly about both of those presentations. I think they actually make very similar arguments, but they're like inverse of each other, right? And Yogi kind of alluded to that, right? Where like Chrono Trigger is like this game that like sets the stage, right? For kind of like crystallizes a lot of things about a genre. Whereas Prey is this thing that like encapsulates a lot of them, right? And like is kind of this peak of how the genres can, or how the genre can present itself, right? And I think that like I like both of those presentations about the same, and like I said, I've gone back and forth, swapping which one I want to give. But I think ultimately that I'm giving Chrono Trigger third place and Prey second place, because I think that the thing that sets the stage is easier to make an argument for than is the like encapsulation of a genre, because I think that like the thing that sets the stage and that has this age behind it is much easier to kind of like rest on nostalgia, and I don't think that Azure did that at all. But yeah, I think ultimately that that's like the more well positioned one for making an argument about like quintessentiality, right? So third place Chrono Trigger, second place Prey. The thing that also really kind of put me over the edge and let me know that I was going to include Prey was Yogi's comment about how and he was worried about this shooting him in the foot, which I think the exact opposite. Like I said, it's what put it over the edge for me. Is that after playing Prey, he felt like the other, immersive sims that he had bounced off of suddenly felt accessible, right? And I think that that's a testament to a game. Absolutely, if you can play a game and suddenly the rest of the genre feels open to you, that's huge, right? I think that that absolutely doesn't detract from how essential a game is. Rather, I think that really underlines how important it can be for someone to play, especially if they had bounced off the genre before. Right? I think that that's a really excellent quality for a game to have. And so number one, of course, because the suspense has kind of been removed because we've done all the others, is we were here, and I think that that's for like two reasons. One, the presentation was excellent. Like no notes, like absolutely incredible presentation from Rena. And I think that it does speak to a lot of the things that we want from um, in Essential, in that it is, something that builds community, right? That you can share with somebody, and that is, I'm a sucker for puzzle games and co-op games, and it's a co-op puzzle game, right? And I think that Rena's presentation really, really demonstrated how, when that genre, when that kind of Venn diagram of genres is done well, how it can be just an incredible time, right, for everyone involved. And uh, I only got to catch a little bit of each of their strategies. I do want to play at some point, mostly unspoiled, but like they were always having a blast. It was clear, and um, you know, uh, yeah, I think that, and the thing that put it in first place is, like I said, these four games were kind of all jostling around, was that it's totally free. Like a an epilogue, like we talked about accessibility of games, not accessibility settings, but accessibility of the games themselves on previous essentials. And we've kind of downplayed them in our assessments a lot, but um, or certainly the other kind of cast has as like kind of an unfair metric. But I think that on the other hand, well, don't go against the game for less accessibility, necessarily less accessible like to play. Uh, a game being freely available, like on Steam, and I imagine other platforms, I don't actually know off the top of my head, I think is like a huge, huge plus to how that game, you know, like there's no barrier to entry, right? You don't even need someone to play with, right? Um, yeah, so that's me. I'm gonna stop yapping because I talked for way too fucking long at this point. But yeah, that's those are my three. Chrono Trigger in third, Prey in second. We were here in first, and I'm gonna go ahead and deafen. Bye, chat. Bye. Thank you for bearing with me. And rizzing up. Val, tell him he's a cutie. And for being here. Ciao.
It's me. Hi, chat. All right. Stacked lineup. Holy cow. First of all, follow all these people. All these people here. They all deserve your follows. I basically had to go with which presentation made me. You can't even hear me. With which presentations made me most likely to play those games. Because that's kind of the whole idea here is we want you to play these games. So that's where we're going to go with. So number 3, I put Prey from Yogi. It just looked like a very cool game. He really sold it. I think going into it, I am prepared for the challenges that it offers, thanks to the information he's given. I just think it's going to be a lot of fun. Number 2, I put We Were Here from Rena. Amongst other things I wrote down for my notes here, cost was a big thing I put towards the thought here. A free game that you get to play with somebody that is replayable, I think, is huge in the gaming economy as it is right now. So that was a huge part of it. Also, I think co-op games do deserve to be in the Epilogue Essentials. We don't have enough of them, as she said. And number one is a game I've been wanting to play for a while, and this whole presentation has kind of put it over for me. So number one, I'm going to put Celeste. I know it's a game that has some wonderful, heart-melting, heart-touching story, and I had always been a little nervous about it, but with the having just gone through a difficult platformer, chat, having just gone through a difficult platformer and knowing how hard a platformer can be, having Celeste basically almost reset you at the screen you were just on, I think is a huge step in a platformer that is already difficult. Bandits Asleep. So I think that is a huge gate opener to platformer. So that's why I'm putting Celeste first. Um, the other two games, Terraria and Hollow Knight, I think both deserve shots as well. But I only get to put for three things. So yeah, I will go with that. And I will pass the torch to Smurf.
It's my turn. Okay. So 6 games. One of them I can't vote for. So let's start with what I'm not voting for. I don't think I'm giving any points to Celeste. It's not a game that it's a game that I enjoyed, but it's a game that I also didn't enjoy because of how frustrated I got by lack of my own skill at it. I don't think I'm giving points to Terraria. Sandbox games aren't my jam. Reason I don't enjoy Minecraft. Although Vel was really convincing, so it might have to get added to my list, just not enough that I'm going to give it points right now. 1 point goes to Arena for We Were Here. I love co-op games. I love escape room games, and the fact that it's free, it's definitely going to be added to my Steam library the moment I'm done here. 2 points. Prey, Yogi, did a fantastic job convincing me that I should try a first-person shooter, even though those are games that I am not super good at, but talking about the ability to add, have stealth is something that I will have to try because, like he said, there'd probably be a little bit struggle in the last third of the game. I love cinematic openings, and just based on him talking about that, I will have to give that a fair shot. So no surprise, my 3 points is going to Chrono Trigger. I think Azure did a fantastic presentation. I've been looking to play a JRPG, and I had a list of a bunch of games. Of most of them he teased at the beginning of which one I actually wanted to play, and did a really good job convincing me to go back and play a 30-year-old game because it is a standard in the genre for a reason. I'm gonna message Roy, and yeah.
Hello.
So that's it.
All right, we're all going to reconvene now. Hopefully, everyone gets in.
Hello.
Bean stop it, I'm taking that sword away.
I mean, he's just deleting deleted messages.
Uh-huh.
Asher, come back to us.
Hello, chat.
I'm ready to lose. Let's get it over with.
He's locked the fuck in.
Sorry.
So the top 3 are guaranteed safe. And then it's up to the chat for it's the top 2 chat that are safe. I think that's how it is.
Yes. I think, yeah, so they don't get
Yeah,
banned,
so-
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's right.
And if they try it, nobody. There is no second inductee. It's just the one.
Okay, so everyone here, yep. So should I just outright say the winner, or should I build up to it?
Oh, do we need a build?
All right. In third place, with 7 points, we have Celeste. It was actually
All right, I'll take it.
there was actually, depending on how the votes went, this could have gone either way for the top 3. Really.
It was
Number
a stacked
2,
lineup.
we had Prey.
I thought it was so
Sorry, I know you tried to pray more, but
cooked.
Copies.
Puppies.
Puppies.
Well, how many points for Brett?
9 points.
I see.
And our new Epilogue Essential with 11 points is Chrono Trigger,
Yes.
with 3 people
it.
giving it first place.
I love you.
You brought a good game. What do you want?
Oh, thank you. It's an amazing game. I know I've already gone over it, but honestly, if you haven't played it, it is an essential game. So much of gaming's foundation harkens back to it, and yeah.
Also, I just want to say that literally
Wait.
as you were
No.
presenting Chrono Trigger, Kali Yuga went live. In his title, he said that he was playing Chrono Trigger. So like I
Oh,
feel like everyone that follows him, that kind of helps.
I'm doing a prediction.
Yeah.
God,
Hey,
no.
let's go.
Yo! Who's gonna do it?
all in on Celeste.
all in.
Wait,
Well,
what?
Well, we gotta see who
There's
the
a
chat
prediction
votes.
instead of a poll.
Yeah, I did the wrong one.
Oh,
Professional
okay.
streamer, the technical difficulties. The man's
It's
drowning, help
Discord's
him.
Discord's fault.
Okay, there we go.
What is
there's
your
a poll.
Epilogue Essential? We Were Here, Terraria, Prey, Celeste, or Hollow Knight?
Oh, I can't watch.
It's gonna be a difficult one for everyone to vote on.
The lineup was so stacked. This is unfair.
It's so good.
So
Yeah, I know you had an uphill battle, Rena.
Huh?
And subtle reminder that it is supposed to be based on argument around
Yeah, it's-
presentations rather than just what your favorite game is. But
very fair point.
that's
so hard.
never stopped chat before.
No,
It's so hard to see a poll and not vote.
I know. I'm closing the poll. I don't want to see. I don't want to see how it's going.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I'm not
closed
even
it
looking.
too.
Um,
I closed it too.
yeah, I hated this. I spent the first half of my voting period saying this is ass. I hate this. I
Yeah.
cannot, like, I'm giving some of these games 0 points. And that sucked. But I went.
Yeah.
I said, look, I value like player choice and expression and seeing yourself get better. And 4 games really like fit that sort of mold. We Were Here, I feel like I couldn't vote on it because I was part of the presentation, so it was already out, you know, like I was too biased on that one. So I had to take someone out back and shoot them.
Fanatic.
Yeah, but I ended up.
PG Best Duo 2024.
No, not with that attitude.
No. I ended up giving Chrono Trigger 3 points. Just on the presentation. You see, the thing is, it's the only game out of these 6 that I haven't played. And I was like, okay. And I don't know if that like influenced me or whatever, but I give it 3. I give Celeste 2, and I give Terraria 1, and I was like, Hollow Knight, I love you, my child. I really do.
No, you don't.
I know, but you start so many arguments, little one. You're too spicy for some.
Yeah.
And you know,
Decisive and spicy. Love
look,
me.
there are people out there that will love you, little child. But you're too much for some people. You know, I have the Hollow Knight poster on my wall, and I'm like, I'm not voting for it, but I almost did just put it in, and then I don't know. This was tough. I hate this.
Doesn't the fact that it's spicy make it an essential? Like, you gotta play it for yourself to have your own opinion?
I guess, yeah.
See,
that's fair.
I argued based on what games I like after the presentation made me most want to pick it up or watch it. So I obviously voted Chrono Trigger first because that's like a game made for me pretty much, and I just needed Azur's presentation to nudge me to actually consider picking it up. And I don't remember. Wait, what did I? In second, I actually voted Hollow Knight. Because I didn't say this during Eddie's presentation because I felt like it was like just my personal opinion, but I don't like the controls in Celeste. It feels like so arbitrary if you just push the button slightly into the wrong direction as you try to make a difficult jump. Just the angle is just off, and it's just so. I feel like I'm pushing the button into the same direction and it just goes completely different ways, and I just really didn't like that about Celeste. So I said I'd give my second vote, either for Hollow Knight or Celeste, and that eventually ended up being Celeste's downfall for me. So I picked Hollow Knight, and then my third one was actually Prey.
I am so
because Yogi made
shocked.
me really want to watch him play this game.
Yeah, literally everyone gave points to Chrono Trigger and Prey. So
I appreciate
worth
it.
noting.
I thought I was so cooked. I'm not gonna lie.
I had Prey in third. I
Quick
really
vote.
liked.
Poll is closing soon. Vote, people. Quick. Go.
Get your buzzer beaters in.
I have enjoyed games like Prey, despite not being the best first-person player. So I basically put the games I'm most likely to play now in my top 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm most likely to play them all, but number 3 was Prey. 2 was We Were Here. Hollow Knight 1. Let's go!
Yay!
Congratulations, Hollow Knight.
My little spicy baby.
You spicy child.
Spicy baby. I put a 2 if We Were Here. Mostly, I wrote down the cost of all the games beside my list here, and in the gaming environment as it costs right now, having a game that's free being recommended is huge, especially a game that has replayability with multiple people. So, and then
people just hate multiplayer games. That's okay. Accept it.
And then I put Celeste 1. It's a game I've been wanting to play, and to have a platformer that resets you on almost the same screen you die on after playing a platformer called La Mulana, and getting reset back pretty far, I definitely put Celeste high. I'm looking forward to trying it as my next platformer.
I put Chrono Trigger as my third, but I was flip-flopping back and forth between Chrono Trigger and Prey as my second and third. Because I felt like they were very similar arguments, but at opposite ends of the lifespan of a genre. And both presentations were stellar. And the main thing, there were two things that ended up pushing Prey above Chrono Trigger for me was one, I felt like the beginning of a genre, like laying the groundwork, versus the like kind of encapsulating a genre. Like the laying the groundwork one, I think is maybe the easier argument to make. Not that I think that Azure you relied on that at all, but I think that ultimately for Yogi's presentation to have felt as convincing to me, there was more for him to overcome, right? Like there's not for me certainly no even like adjacent nostalgia to to lean back on. And the other thing was, Yogi, you were worried about this being something that shot you in the foot, but for me it was like it put it over the edge for me. Was like in the positive was that you bounced off all these other immersive sims, but then after playing Prey, you could go to those and actually enjoy them. And I think that that's like a fantastic quality for a game to have. I think like a game that opens up a genre is phenomenal. And certainly a property that I think is essential to right because it's like if this is like the best offering that a genre has, and you go in, it can be this kind of gateway to like all these other experiences for you. And then in first for me was We Were Here, because I thought that it was the best presentation, like no comparison. Not to talk down on any of the other presentations. It was just really well put together. It was like I'm a fan of like co-op and puzzle games, but like I think that the presentation really did an excellent job of highlighting just how fun and how interesting that genre can be when it's done well. And I think that like on prior episodes of um, uh, EG Essentials, the other time slot, one of the things that has been talked about has been like accessibility and eventually like getting accessibility of like actually playing the game in the first place, right? Like Bloodborne, it got brought up for and stuff like that. And it mostly was like disregarded in favor of like not having that count against a game. But I think that like it is actually, if it doesn't count against the game, I think it definitely can count for a game, right? For a game to just like you can go download and play it right now, pay $0, right? It's available on Steam, I imagine other platformers. I think that's fantastic and definitely something that like we have a bunch of $60 games in EG Essentials. I think that a $0 game would have been like an excellent addition. But yeah.
Thank you, Eddie.
Yeah.
I guess
It's
I'll.
fine. People just hate multiplayer.
Look, I just want to one quick thing. If you really enjoyed the presentation and the wonderful gentleman who was present in it, you can go subscribe to my YouTube where all those clips were taken from.
Actually, yes, that is true. All of our playthroughs are on Yogi's YouTube.
Sorry, Ash.
Also, Ash wanted to say something.
No, I was gonna just go through my order, but I have a cat currently like sitting on my chest, so she will be telling you our voting order. So I gave 1 point to Rena because I think it was Azure that said like the accessibility. I already love like co-op and puzzle games, so it being like a no cost like barrier to entry is fantastic, and I can just go download it and convince some of my friends to play that with me. That would be just a great like little essential game. 2 points I gave to Yogi. I love like openings of games that are really good. So you made that a point that like the opening scene is something that should be enjoyed, as well as like the fact that I don't like first person shooters, and you answered my question really well, that I can try other stuff. I may struggle with like the later part of the game, but at least it's worth giving it a shot. And then 3 points to Chrono Trigger, because I have been wanting to play a JRPG, and you kind of sold me on why I should be playing this one as opposed to some of the other ones.
Anyone else want to give any thoughts or?
Yeah.
Can't believe
So-
that literally by 1 point I missed out on getting We Were Here saved from being banned.
Yeah,
Banned in the mines.
there was like 6 points versus 7 for Celeste, so you're like just outside the top 3, and not in the top 3 or top 2 for chat. It's rough. All the other games have been saved. Terraria was number 2 for the chat vote, so it's actually got saved.
Fine, people just hate multiplayer games. I understand. I'm not gonna
Well,
bring one again.
Like
I mean,
Terraria.
Journey.
Terraria is also multiplayer, yeah. If you make
No,
it.
it's not.
Okay, sorry.
Multiplayer. You
I mean,
literally made multiplayer because you forced me to play with you.
A lot of these
But yeah.
games have multiplayer elements, like Hollow Knight's been done in multiplayer, and the randomizers, like all the archipelago stuff is multiplayer in a way, so it's single player doing multiplayer.
Randomizers and modding, like, you know.
Yeah, that's
multiplayer
I was
games.
trying to use it as an argument because, like, the randomizer is so good for Hollow Knight, and I like Azure like Jets of Time. So like bringing in randomizers seems almost unfair.
yeah, that's fair.
No,
I guess
it's
Journey,
actually sad.
Bloodborne has a multiplayer part, but it's like same with Dark Souls. You have to bring people in. And we haven't really had a pure multiplayer game. Maybe someone will break It Takes Two next time, and that'll get in.
You see,
Just doing
I
all
was
multiplayer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Rivals.
My other
Yeah,
choice.
and it got banned too.
my other choice, I will say, is a co-op game that I didn't bring today, but was like what it was either Prey or that other game. So maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
I'm not bringing a gold game next time. Fuck.
Yeah, good. So I can bring it and get in, and then that'll make you feel even worse. Fantastic.
Yes, actually it will.
Maybe I'll just bring Smash.
I tried reading. It was such a good presentation.
That's okay. The lineup was just too stacked. It was too stacked. I was.
It was very stacked.
It feels like it's always stacked every single time.
That is the nature of this show. It's true.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, right, they're like all games that people feel strongly about.
Yeah, there's always going to be some games that are like, why did this win? Well, look what it was up against.
The
Like,
moment I saw Celeste, I got a little bit nervous because Celeste and Hollow Knight get compared a lot.
Which is
You
so
can-
bizarre to me because like they don't feel similar to me like at all.
I mean, one's apples, one's oranges, but at the end of the day, they're both still fruit.
I mean, they're all fruit by that, but like all the games are fruit, right?
I mean, like, they're both platformers. They're both 2D platformers.
They both have like good movement mechanics.
And that's about it, right? Like,
I guess, but
But
They're still the
Gamer
same
Brains love to
genre.
Put them together, yeah.
they're not though. One is a platform, the other is a Metroidvania.
I mean, but it is a 2D platformer Metroidvania,
Yeah, I mean, I think that
as opposed to like a first-person shooter Metroidvania, like Metroid Prime.
yeah, I think the goals of the games are slightly different though. If you like get into it, like I can see why it's hard to like
Yeah.
compare them, but easy in other ways to compare them.
I think the biggest difference to me would be that like Hollow Knight has combat, which is like the focus of Hollow Knight for most of it.
I feel like
if
the
it
game
was as
that-
focused on platforming as it was combat, I think I'd probably like it more.
The game that bridges between Celeste and Hollow Knight for me was Ori and the Blind Forest. That's why I brought it into the discussion as well. Because Ori has combat, yes, but it is very basic, which was actually one of the parts that people that played it criticized. I felt like Ori was great because it focused more on the platforming. Like I died more to platforming than to enemies in this game. That's why it feels like it's closer to Celeste for me than to Hollow Knight. Because it's truly just like you try to find your way around this world, unlock new mechanics that then help you process through the world. with different platforming skills, but your combat always stays the same. You always will only have that one specific attack. It's very minimal. So even though people say that it's a Metroidvania, I would argue that Ori is actually more of a platforming game. And it is drop dead gorgeous.
Sure. Most Metroidvanias are like, platforming games. It's like how much are they platforming versus combat. And Hollow Knight for me is just much more combat oriented than it is platforming oriented, which is why the comparison seems so odd to me. But
Vel wanted to talk about his picks, by the way, and why he
It's
didn't
true,
think
it's
we were
true.
here.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, yeah. So my number one pick that I gave 3 points to was actually Prey. I have not heard about the game before, I think, or I suppressed the memory, but it just like intrigued me so much the way Yogi talked about the game that it's definitely on my list now. And just like the complexity of the mechanics, like how you can solve the puzzles differently, it's really nice. And then my number 2 was Celeste, because I've been like holding off on Celeste because I'm like usually with platformers, either I'm good at them or I completely suck. So I was like, I'm not sure if I should try this game because it will just tilt me if I'm not good at it, but I still want to complete it. And then the presentation that Eddie put on just gave me that edge that I really want to try it. And then my last point went to Chrono Trigger. I was considering Hollow Knight, but similar to how Yogi said, it's too like two-sided. I feel like there's been like too many arguments. It's still like a great game, and I love it so much. But like Chrono Trigger, the presentation just like spoke to me a lot as well. And in the past, I've been like not hating on, but like staying away from JRPGs just because of like the grind, and I don't like the combat too much. But the way Kale just presented it to me was like, okay, I'll give this a shot. So I had to include it.
Fair. Well, I think that's us. I think we can wrap up and say thank you very much. And I really appreciate you spending the time with me talking about games. And
thank you for having me.
Thank you. We will find oh no, we got EG people streaming today. It's fine. We'll get a little raid going. So if you want to hang around and go hang out with an EG friendo that we raid into, we can get that sorted. But thank you, chat, for voting. I appreciate you as well. Thank you. And yeah, I'll see you when I see you. Make sure you join the EG Discord. Join Epilogue Gaming. You can go to the arcade. There is an Epilogue Essentials thread, and it's been updated. So the new essentials are Chrono Trigger and Hollow Knight. So congrats to those two joining the mighty pantheon of essentials we have already. That's it for season 1. Stay tuned for news from Ben about season 2 Smilers, and goodbye everybody.
Bye. Thank you for saving Terraria from the ban list, chat.
Likewise.